Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 41 of Punching Up, Last Stand Media's bi-weekly Nintendo podcast. I am your host, Brad Ellis, and joining me, as always, my lovely co-hosts. First, we got Micah Watson. Micah, I just saw you yesterday for Summon Sign. How are you today?
No, I'm doing pretty well, Brad. I won't give a lengthy introduction. We did just see each other yesterday. Not much has changed. Haven't seen a skunk today yet. Oh. So it's a worse start than yesterday's was, but I'm optimistic. The rest of the day, who knows where it could bring me.
Wait, you saw a skunk yesterday?
Well, it was dead. It was a dead skunk, but I was delighted by the smell, Gene. So it was a highlight. I was sad it was dead, but I was happy I got to smell it.
I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen a skunk before. So
oh, really?
I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm from the islands. Like I've seen. I grew up like under a coconut tree. So
yeah.
When I saw squirrels out here in DC, I freaked out. I was like, "Oh my god, a squirrel!" Never seen that before. Do we have? Do they have? Do they have squirrels in California?
Yes, Fred? We got squirrels.
Okay, so I guess it's just been like a long time since I'd seen a squirrel, because I'm sure I've seen a squirrel in California.
Yeah, we have skunks in California too. I guess you never saw one here.
I never saw a skunk in California. I definitely saw. I'm forgetting the name. Anyways, I've seen other creatures in California, but we don't have squirrels in Hawaii. So when I moved back out to DC, I was like, "Oh, magical animals!"
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that because squirrels are my favorite animal. So I appreciate Gene's reverence for them because yes, I think they're magical as well.
Have you ever seen a skunk, Gene?
I don't think I've ever seen a skunk before. Maybe like when I went to the zoo or something. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've never encountered a skunk before.
Yeah, you generally don't want to, but that is just interesting. What's something on Guam, I guess you saw that we don't usually see here?
Snakes, lots of snakes. Like a ton of snakes. Like snakes are just everywhere. Snakes are just like as much of a problem as like a cockroach would be.
Oh my god.
So we're like, oh well, we got a snake in the house, and then you just gotta get rid of it.
Jeez, that sounds like an absolute nightmare to me. I would not.
It is a nightmare, but we got really used to it in high school because I went to an all boys school, so it's just a bunch of masculine chads running around, right? So we used to just grab the snakes and just bring them to the cafeteria, and we were like, cook this, please.
Oh damn! Cool. That's awesome.
I had a snake when I was in JROTC, the training for the Navy. I did field training exercises, and I would hide in the jungle, and I'll have snakes crawl over me. And the thing is that we're actually meant to learn like stealth, to learn like how to keep perfectly still and infiltrate enemy headquarters. Literally saw the snake before I ever even played Metal Gear Solid. And yeah, like part of the training was enduring like snakes crawling over you because it's like, just deal with it,
Yeah. Damn, dude. That's crazy. All right. We got a couple of warm-up questions from the audience here before we get into...
You didn't introduce me.
Oh, did I not introduce you? Well, of course. Mr. Gene Park. Mr. Our lovely Gene Park. Y'all know him. Y'all love him. Gene. Can
I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Brad, I think you're actually a much better fit host for Punching Up. Don't tell Dustin that. But that being said, I do miss Dustin.
Yeah, I love Dustin.
Because Punching Up was really the only time I could really like catch up with the guy. Like I did, obviously I text with we talk offline, but like Punching Up was like the only regularly scheduled program that we were on. And so that's what I kind of realized when I'm going on. I'm like, yeah, Brad's a much better fit, I think, a much deeper history with Nintendo. But yeah, I miss Dustin. I miss that boy.
Yeah, we love our Dustin. Yeah, it's weird when I like see someone I haven't recorded with in a long time. It's like when I see Dagan, I'm like, whoa. I feel like it's been 3 months since I've seen you or something crazy. Or I see Cog. Doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, Cog. It's been a minute for Cog, but yeah.
But yeah, it's always good to see them. All right, we got a couple warm-up questions before we get into the news. This is from Postman B. Good morrow, punchers of up. How do you feel about AJ and Big Justice? The chicken bake or the double chunk chocolate cookie?
The double chunk chocolate cookie. You gotta say it like that.
Double chunk chocolate cookie.
Double chunk chocolate cookie.
Now, I gotta be honest. I did not know about these guys for a long time. And I was talking to Dustin and like Ben one time, and they were talking about the guys, the Rizzler and everything. And I had no idea what they were talking about. They're like, "You've never heard of the Costco guys?" It's like, no, why would I ever know about these guys? How would I ever know about them? Then they showed me them.
You know about them. Yeah.
And it's insane. But I am a fan of the Rizzler. You guys know who the Rizzler is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like this chronically obese 8-year-old or something, but he is so damn funny. He does the mewing face or whatever, though. He always does that. It's just so weird seeing like a little fat, chubby kid do that. I love it. It's so good. He's been on like late night and stuff. He's like sitting in the chair and his feet are all small and just sticking out. It's awesome, dude. But this kid is a phenomenon. But what do you all think? What do you want? The chicken bake or the double chunk chocolate cookie?
I don't know. I've never been to Costco, so I'm gonna choose the cookie by default because I don't know what a chicken bake is. You know, like I've never been to a Costco. We don't have them. But like I encountered these people strictly because Colin showed me them, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Like, what's going on?" I don't know. I'm happy for this. They're not even all related, so I want to say happy for this family, but they're not even all related. I'm happy for this mismatch of characters who found fame through Costco, but my God, I don't understand what's happening. Yeah,
it's like a dad and his son, or AJ and Big Justice. Okay, and then the Rizzler, I guess, is just a friend or something like that. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on with him. But yeah,
AJ is the dad, right? Or
yes,
Big Justice
Big Justice
is the dad.
Kid. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's clever that the big guy is not Big Justice.
Yeah.
I'm very easily entertained.
We all are.
Oh, he's not the Big Justice.
Yeah. The internet really plays, Gene. Gene, what are you choosing? The chicken bake or the cookie?
I'll have to go with the chicken bake. It gets the boom, as they would say. I've been practicing, Micah. Don't laugh. You know, I've been practicing my TikTok creator mannerisms. But yeah. So for folks who don't know, the double chocolate cookie is just like a lot of like chocolate as a cookie, right? Right. But the chicken bake is chicken breast strips, mozzarella, provolone, and Parmesan cheeses, smoky bacon, creamy Caesar dressing, and green onions in a hand rolled, basically a hot pocket type of shape. So yeah, I think the chicken bake sounds great. You know, just hold the sour cream. Maybe I'm not a big fan of sour cream, but other than that, though, I guess maybe take out the bacon too because I can't. You know, I had to cut down back on processed meat. But yeah. Other than that, though, yeah, I mean, chicken and cheese and green onions can't really ask for that much more than that.
Great combo.
It's delicious. I'm so hungry right now just thinking about that.
Sorry, dude. Yeah, I'm looking at it here. I had no idea what it was either. I would have to try that first over the cookie.
Look, I've never tried it before, but it looks really good. Like, and I've been to Costco many times, but I only ever ate like the pussy. The pussy. Holy shit! I guess you have to leave that one in because that's okay. You know?
We're leaving that in.
You know what sucks about me saying pussy out of nowhere? I actually resolved to this really nice lady on our Facebook group. She was like, you know, can you guys cut back down on like the cursing? And you know, I don't want it to be like a show thing, but I was like, you know what, I could try to cut back on the cursing, and try to hold back my language a little bit. And then here I am just saying pussy instead of pizza. I don't even know what I was talking about.
Wait, were they complaining about our show with the cursing?
Yeah, punching up.
Punching up? I don't know. Punching up's not a kid show, I would say.
It's not. I mean, Nintendo is like a family oriented thing. So you think we might be?
No, we're like Nintendo rejects kind of here. Misfit toys, I would say.
Yeah, and part of it, I said to Colin, because I saw that Facebook post as well, but I was like, we'd have to start censoring the write-ins. I was like, it's not just us. I was like, people calling us fisters and all these things. I was like, so then we have to start censoring even the usernames people have. I was like, it's just not our audience, like I respect their point, but it's like the very small number of people who would want a 100% clean show from Last Stand Media. It's like just look at the write-ins that we get every week and you'll see like that's just not a lot of people.
It's just the culture of this company, I suppose. That's just the way it is. And of course we would
just how we are.
Yeah, we'd slip up. Like Gene slipped up in the first 5 minutes or something. Like eating pussy just right away.
The weird thing is that like pussy is not a word I say often. I don't like. It's not a word I say every day. I don't engage with it every day. So I don't know. I don't know why I decided to just say that just now. So. But hey, it's another classic moment.
Yeah, another classic Last Stand slip. Love it.
Anyways, yeah, AJ and Big Justice, cool guys.
Yeah.
Did you? I really got fascinated with them once I saw that back behind the screens or behind the scenes TikTok of them, where they were trying to work with some other creator.
Yes.
And AJ was like, like art direction. He was like shopping the whole thing, and he was like telling his own kid, like, no, you got to say this first, and you got to say this first.
Oh.
And a lot of people were like fascinated by that, but it's like that's just smart. Content creation. I've seen a lot of Instagram folks who are very like, you have to do it this way though. It's like no, like that. It's like you have to be very particular if you have a brand, and those guys do. And so they're very smart. So shout out to them. I think I hope they stay healthy, but
just buy some vegetables or something there.
Yeah,
guys. I just thought of this. Maybe one time we should try to do a PG episode of Punching Up just one time and see how well we do. Don't make it a regular thing, but we could try because we're going to slip up easily, all of us, and it could be fun to try it. We need like a penalty.
To just try it. Yeah,
we need a penalty for swearing or something like that. We got to do something.
This is where the canned bread comes in. No, dudes, I mail each of you. Think of it. I mail each of you a can of bread. You have it open and sliced. You swear you got to take a bite.
Sure.
I'd rather, it could be worse.
Be fun. Yeah, I would. Wait, what's wrong with canned bread?
It's delicious and Brad doesn't believe in it.
I don't believe in it. Why would you have canned bread when I can just get normal bread? We're not living in a nuclear winter or anything where we need it.
No, but it's wonderful. And you're not understanding. It's like it's moist. It's almost cake-like, right? Like it's
Jesus.
It's just like I don't mean wet. Like
no,
she
I'm right there
wet,
with you,
but
it's Jesus. I was like,
it's more muffin than like loaf of bread.
Does canned bread have like a slime, like preservative layer over it, like Spam does?
No. They bake it in the can. They bake the bread in the can.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of like a muffin-ish consistency. You take it out of the can, it's dry to the touch. It's not wet. I don't want you to think you're sliding out like some little wet dogger. Like it's dry to the touch, but it's like a moist bread. It's not like a dinner roll consistency.
Mm-hmm.
This is the penalty for swearing.
All right, Micah.
That could be fun.
I'm game. We can try the bread. Because I'll probably behave very well because I don't want to eat that bread.
Yeah. That actually sounds really unappealing and fun to.
Do you want raisins or no raisins?
No raisins, please. Yeah. No, God, I don't want canned raisin bread. Jesus.
Let's start easy, okay?
Yeah.
If I get sick, though, I'm gonna be very upset.
Nobody's gonna get sick. The bread is perfectly safe. It's a delicacy. All right, like you're gonna love it.
Delicacy. Okay. All right. Fine. We'll think about it.
Maybe have like a hot dog nearby or something.
No, Micah. Let's
not get crazy. What goes with hot dogs? You're supposed to eat it with hot dogs. I'm just saying you could have some hot dogs nearby.
I'm not gonna eat hot dogs. We usually shoot the show at 10 a.m. my time. I'm not gonna eat hot dogs at 10 a.m.
There's no right time for a hot dog, Brad.
I guess so. All right, fair enough. Okay, this is from David Bray. Greetings, Up Punchers. If you could each assemble a dream Mario Party session with 3 other LSM members, who would you pick? In this scenario, they're forced to play, despite their enjoyment level of the franchise. Any Mario Party game is on the table as well, even the car one. Who would you have the most fun with, or who would you have the most fun torturing? P.S. I'm stoked to have more Brad. And I look forward to the special free DLC Dustin episodes. Cheers. Yeah, Dustin's like a season in a game. He comes around every now and then. All right, Mario Party. Who are you guys playing with? Micah. You have the opportunity to play. You're forced to play. I don't even know if you like Mario Party, but you're forced to play as well. Okay. Who are you picking?
All right, and so I get 3 people. I mean, honestly, Gene number 1. There's a chaos element there. I think I would also call in Jaffe for this.
Ooh.
I could see Jaffe trying to like strategize and then just like losing the plot, because it's like, stopping at the candy store, buying too much, he spent all his money on candy and then forgot he needed the money for the stars. Like I could see something happening with that. And then it's like, do I bring in Colin? Because I think he'd hate it. And that would also be funny. Or do I just say, you know what? No, let's bring in like another unknown, Cog, for example. I don't know if he would like Mario Party, but that's a good one. I think this combination would be fun. So I think I'm going Gene, Cog, and Jaffe on this.
That's a great one. Gene, who you want to play Mario Party with?
Since I know them, the Game Grumps.
LSM people.
LSM people. Okay.
We know Mike loves the Game Grumps and thinks of herself as a Game Grumps historian, but
I wish.
I don't work here.
Wish.
Yeah. I would only do it to make Micah jealous. No. I would invite Micah over, basically. That would be the whole thing, right?
You would have a heart attack, I think.
Yeah. Oh my God, I shit my pants. I resisted the urge to bring it up during the Costco guys segment, because the Game Grumps have been saying for weeks, sticking my ass out for the Rizzler, and I didn't know what it meant. So I started saying that. And then I was like, wait, the Rizzler's a child?
Yeah.
He's like, I can't
my God, no.
I didn't know what they were saying. I was just like, oh, this is hysterical.
They
I didn't know
what they were saying either. I mean, they're old boomers too. Dan's older than me. Micah, though, Ninja Sex Party is having a show in DC. Let's go.
Oh, dude, when is it?
I saw it was next year, but we got some time. I'll just ask Ninja Brian to get us in.
Oh my God, I feel faint at the thought. March,
yeah. So they'll be in Richmond in June.
Oh,
I'll go down.
Oh, dude. All right. We'll talk about this later. Cause
I'll go down. Yeah, bring Colin too. Colin can be available.
He's not gonna want to see it, but I'm gonna bring him anyways.
Well, you have to force him to come, and it'll be just a little tag along buddy,
Yeah. Micah, there's a picture of the Rizzler if you want to see him.
Yeah. As soon as I found out who it was, I was like, I can't say that anymore.
I do not abide.
I was like, this is a child.
Yeah, actual child. So yeah, we'll stick away. We'll not do that. Look, Game Grumps, too extreme for us here at LSM.
So my Mario Party crew.
Yeah, Mario Party crew.
Cog would be funny.
Yeah.
Colin would hate it, so Colin has to be there too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Dustin says I miss him so much.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, that's a great one.
See, I almost said the F word and I stopped myself.
Yeah, good job, dude. No bread for you.
Yeah, you've dodged I'm not a pussy. So.
All right. So I would play with Colin for sure because he would hate it, and I enjoy that. Chris also, because I think Chris would also hate it to some extent.
Chris would hate it too.
And I think Cog is the secret weapon, like you guys are saying. I think Cog would bring a great energy to that game, and I would love to have him there.
Yeah, he would actually, he would be the fun person to actually play with.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. All right. The Game Awards are coming up next month. We got the categories from Mr. Jeff Keighley, Mr. Video Games himself. And I just kind of wanted to get your guys' opinions on this. It seems like the first time in a long time there's no Nintendo first party for Game of the Year. I mean, that happens, but I just always expect some sort of Nintendo game in there.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Gene, how are you feeling about the nominations? I have them for you. I can read them off real quick, just for Game of the Year.
I mean, for Game of the Year, I obviously know them. I can't even read them off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong. Okay, just help me out with the last two.
Elden Ring, Shadow of the
Elden
Erd
Ring, of
Tree,
course, Shadow Erdtree,
and Metaphor, Refantasia.
oh, and my two favorite games,
Yeah.
Elden Ring and Metaphor. So how do I feel about them? I
Yes.
made myself pretty clear on Twitter yesterday, but I'm actually good with most of the nominations, even Black Myth Wukong,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was fairly mid, and I still think it's kind of mid, but it's actually like really good though, and I can totally see why someone would love that, because like the ending again, I keep talking about how it ended. I was like, oh
Right.
yeah, it ended so strong that the recency bias is strong. That I was like, no, Black Myth Wukong was an amazing game, but that's because like the final 4 or 5 hours were just really really solid. Really really good world design and
Mm-hmm.
objectives and bosses and story, and the story all throughout the game was incredible too. My problem is with Shadow Erdtree, which
Yeah.
is my favorite game. Obviously, I gave it 4 stars in Washington Post, and I obviously love Shadow Erdtree. But I'm just not vibing with an expansion being recognized as a game of the year, mostly because okay, like people keep getting it twisted. I don't have an issue with expansions getting a nominated game of the year. My issue is specifically with the way FromSoft does DLC, which is that you can't play the DLC separately from the main game. It is a continuation in the main game. You can't play Old Hunters without actually playing through Bloodborne. You can't play Elden Ring without actually killing the two last bosses, and most likely collecting every golden seed, which means unlocking every region in the game, and also making sure that you're getting all the bell bearings, so you can get all the infinite upgrade materials to upgrade your weapons, and also get those weapons and probably be level 80 to be able to play Shadow of the Erdtree.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound like a different game to me. That sounds like you have to finish the game and then play more of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where my crawl is. Phantom Liberty as game of the year, yeah, we should have done it. Future Redeemed, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, yeah, we should have done it, but we didn't. It's just Elden Ring, the weirdest possible example that we could use, and the one that is so inseparable from its base game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that we're gonna the break tradition for and just give it to a DLC. I don't know. I mean, yeah, everyone's argument is, yeah, but the DLC was that good. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. I actually think it's even better than the base game. What's frustrating is that I can't just play it. I wish I could just play Shadow of the Erdtree and not have to go to sit through Elden Ring all over again. But you can't do that. You have to play Elden Ring unless you mod it or just import a save. But then that's not playing the game. That's altering the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's not standalone, so that's a huge issue, like you were
Not
saying right
standalone,
away.
exactly.
I think it is just messy to start including this, even if they are standalone. I think there should just be a best DLC or expansion category.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of candidates for that.
Yeah,
I just
and if
don't know
there's
why.
not, then just have the 2 candidates that came out that year. Then
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
So we've done that before.
We have like best sports and racing game. It's like, come on. It's like, how many times do I need to see NBA 2K in there or something like that? It's gonna be in there every year or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, a family game is always whenever Nintendo game comes out, So
yes.
it's like a lot of these awards are clearly just being like rote, It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
well, whatever. We'll just put in the usual suspects or whatever, So yeah, just put in the usual suspects for deal. Best ongoing game, Cyberpunk winning last year was weird and is a fluke and stupid, but like otherwise it's always like Final Fantasy 14 or Fortnite or whatever,
You're right. Those are live service games or something, so I guess it makes sense. But they just need a best expansion or DLC category. That's it. That's all you got to do, Keely. Micah, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but how are you feeling about the Game of the Year awards?
So this is an interesting year for me because I have not played any of the nominated Game of the Years.
Oh,
and
yeah, that's so different for me that I played all of them actually this year, which is amazing.
Right, and now I did order Balatro on Switch. All right, it was on sale on Amazon, so I did order that. I'm going to try it out. But it's like Metaphor I plan to play, but haven't gotten to yet. Final Fantasy VII, never want to play that. Elden Ring, I'm not a Souls person. Black Myth, same thing. Astrobot, No. So this is a weird year for me that the game of the year category is one that I'm just like, I don't know any of these. And what I'm most interested in is my personal game of the year, Unicorn Overlord, is nominated for one category. And so I'm just going to be hoping that wins. Its best sim slash strategy game. That's what it's nominated for. And then Zelda Echoes is nominated for, I think, two different categories, Best Action Adventure Game and Best Family Game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be keeping an eye out for those. But this is an odd year for me. It's not like the Red Dead Redemption 2 year where I was like, sweep the awards, hoping they win like everything. This is just a weird one where it's like I'm really out of the loop on the games that were nominated.
Yeah, like you said, it kind of a weird year for a lot of things, but yeah, Nintendo, a couple awards like you were saying, best family game. Let's see, we had Princess Peach Showtime. Gene, how do you feel about that? You played that game and you didn't think it was very good, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, if it's stuck to that, then I think that's fine, but I feel like Nintendo's released better family games this year too. I mean, Mario Party.
Yeah, Mario Party.
Even,
Jamboree on there, yeah.
Yeah, Jamboree or,
Yeah, it's good to see Zelda on there. So we got a couple shout outs for Nintendo, but not a huge year for them, I guess, for the Game of the Year awards. Yeah. But this is hopefully the final year of the Switch only. So hopefully we'll get some new exciting hardware. Metroid Prime 4 or whatever. Oh, Metroid Prime 4 got nominated for most anticipated, at least. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. That's what it's called. I was forgetting about the Beyond part. But yeah. Got some love there. So Nintendo still present. I wonder if they'll be at the show, actually, if they'll do anything. But I guess we'll see. You never really know. All right. Good news, guys. Nintendo confirmed that Nintendo Switch software will be playable on the next console. Thank God. I was so nervous about this because Nintendo, awesome in so many ways, but also I'd never expect common sense from them in a lot of things. So I was very happy to see this. This came via X or Twitter. Nintendo posted this with quote, "This is Furukawa. At today's corporate management policy briefing, we announced that Nintendo Switch software will also be playable on the successor to the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch Online will be available on the successor to Nintendo Switch as well. Further information about the successor to Nintendo Switch, including its compatibility with Nintendo Switch, will be announced at a later date. Nintendo also reiterated its plan to unveil the next console hardware before the end of the current fiscal year, which ends on March 31st, 2025. And people are kind of guessing that it'll launch around April or May. Seems pretty far away for me still. I'm desperate to get new hardware from Nintendo. God, please, Nintendo. Please. But what do you guys think about this? Good news all around, in my opinion, and interesting that they're keeping Nintendo Switch Online the same. They're not switching anything up, I guess, quite yet. They're using the same branding and everything. Gene, let's start with you.
Yeah, it's always when you look at the history of Nintendo, they always change things up. Except for when they went from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, right? And that is a transition that I think everyone was the most happy with.
Mm-hmm.
And even back in the 90s, I was there. And the most the transition that people look back on fondly.
Yeah,
it's really the only time that Nintendo was like, oh yeah, we'll just make the better version of the Nintendo, which is funny because that was the first time they ever did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they stopped doing that for some reason. I guess the Super Nintendo wasn't as successful as the Nintendo.
No,
so maybe that's why they thought they needed to switch things up with N64, which was way worse. So
sales wise, yeah.
Yeah, so it's very exciting. Everyone was like, oh, just call it the Super Nintendo Switch. And it's like, yeah, if they just call it that, then that would just be just money in the bank, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just all good news all around.
Yeah, all good news. Micah,
it's going to keep Digital Foundry very, very busy because they're going to be testing like thousands of games, to see how much better they run. And I'm excited too. I can't wait to play Age of Calamity again, but I can actually see what's going on.
No, Age of Calamity. Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which is famously probably the worst performing game on the Nintendo Switch.
So bad.
I can't believe I completed that game. Like
Me
I
too.
just like I got everything, but I definitely suffered through it. It was definitely I'm
Yeah.
definitely someone who doesn't mind frame rate drops at all, but Hyrule Warriors is a mess. So I'm excited for
Yeah.
that.
I mean, it's like constantly vomiting at you, bad frame
Yep.
rate or something like that. It's never
Yep.
ending. Micah, how are you feeling about confirmation that it'll be backwards compatible and somehow, some way, NSO will be integrated in it as well? Are you pleased about this? Are you hoping they kind of do something dramatically different with the online this time around as well?
So overall, really happy with this. It's something that I was talking to Colin about actually and saying, it was like tentatively expected that it would be backwards compatible, but the confirmation that it is just like a relief, like you had said, Brad. Like it's the smart move to do. It makes the most sense to do. And I was still afraid Nintendo wouldn't do it. All right. I was still afraid that they'd be like, we're bringing back these little PSP discs, like the little GameCube disc. We're bringing those back. You're going to stick one of those in. It just is. It's like they could do something wildly stupid and I'd be like, well, that's Nintendo. So the confirmation that it's going to be backwards compatible and that Nintendo Switch Online is staying around, that they're not changing systems again, I am happy with that. In terms of different, honestly, I'm quite happy with Nintendo Switch Online. I like the system of like, go and pick your library of games, what's available, how they work, how they operate. I'm quite happy with the service. I have not put as many hours into it as other people have, so they may have stronger feedback, but I'm genuinely pleased with the service, the offerings, how it all works. So, previously I refused to pay for Nintendo Switch Online, like, just to play games online. So I was like, it's not very good. I was like, I'm not paying for this service that constantly kicks me out of Splatoon, and shit like that. So it has improved. I do see that it's different now than it used to be. And no, this is all good news for me, just to have that confirmation, to know that my library of games will carry over. All good all around.
That is, yeah. I am happy about this as well. The only thing I guess this is like, I don't know. I'm always suspicious of Nintendo, for better or for worse, in the sense that this will be backwards compatible going forward. And I'm like, well, is your next system going to be backwards compatible as well? Like, if I buy, let's say, like I buy Super Mario Odyssey digitally on Switch, we assume it's going to work on the next one. That's what they've said. It's going to work on the next one kind of thing? Or are you going to make me rebuy this game again? Like, I've bought Super Mario World like 12 times, I feel like. I've bought that game every time it's available, pretty much. When are you going to just let me carry my library over permanently? I'm hoping that is the thing going forward. I think it's time Nintendo gets there. Everyone else has been doing that for a while. So please, Nintendo, do that. NSO coming back, great. I think Nintendo Switch Online's great. I do have some problems with it, but I think there's a lot of good to it. I think it's cool. Like, you can get the expansion packs for free or whatever if you have it and all that kind of stuff. And the library, there's some pretty damn good games in there. Lots of good stuff. But just, we've talked about this many times before. Just let me buy a lot of those games as well, permanently. Let me own those forever. I'd rather do that. I'd rather spend, hopefully not $20, but I would spend $20 to own some of those games forever. And if it carries over to future hardware, that'd be fantastic. And I'm kind of hoping there is some weird little gimmick they throw into the online, like a Miiverse or something like that. I don't know. Just something weird like that. I always think it's cool that Nintendo does that, even if it doesn't get much traction or something, but it helps distinguish Nintendo's online from everyone else's, and it feels very Nintendo to me. So hopefully we get something like that, because the home screen on Switch it's fine, it's clean. It's just kind of sterile compared to a lot of their other older home screens, I would say, especially for how much I hate the Wii U, the hardware. I think that Miiverse on that was pretty funny. So hopefully they do something like that. Yeah. Some good times in there. But yeah, we shall see. We're all waiting with bated breath. Who knows? Maybe Keighley will tease it or something like that. But Nintendo seems to operate on their own. They'll probably do it like on a Wednesday night at 3 a.m. or something. Who knows? Unannounced. And they'll just show a bunch of stuff there.
Yeah, I don't remember the last Switch launch, because I was actually kind of kind of tapped out of gaming news. You know, it wasn't like, oh, today's the day or whatever. I just heard about it, and I was like, oh, they announced the Switch. That's awesome. Maybe I'll pick one up, and I picked one up. It's like several months later,
Nice.
So yeah, this is really the first time in a long time where I'm really like locked into a console cycle where I'm just like paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
Like PS5 and Xbox Series, I only got those at launch because the company sent them to me.
Yeah. It's exciting time. But yeah, Nintendo hardware is just old. We're ready for something new. Micah needs a new screen, for God's sakes.
Yes.
She's too stubborn to replace it. So needs to fix that crack screen on there. We need something new. Come on, Nintendo. Help us out here. Hopefully, this won't happen, but I wish they would do an OLED version at launch. Because I know they're going to do it in like 2 years or something, 2 or 3 years.
Wish they would too, yeah.
Because we're all going to buy that as well because we're dumb and we love the OLEDs. No,
I won't do it. I won't do it all over again.
You won't do it?
Probably not.
Micah still hasn't done it, yeah.
You should just do it, Mike. Just sell, like when you get Switch 2, have it for a couple of years, they introduce the OLED version, just sell your Switch or something. Of course, it's going to cost some more money, but OLED is very nice. You know this. Micah. You have OLED TVs.
I've never seen the OLED Switch in person, I don't think.
Oh,
I've never been able to compare one to the other. Like, OLED TV is excellent.
Though, so, yeah.
Right, but I look at it, I'm like, my Switch looks just like this. No, it doesn't look just like it, but it looks good enough. She looks fine.
Yeah.
You're definitely not the Digital Foundry crowd for sure.
No, the real problem with my Switch is, as Brad mentioned, it's scratched to hell because my dog ran over it a couple times. So the real problem is that the screen is all like scratched and scuffed up, and I just keep playing it because I was like, well, I'm not gonna switch now. It's like I can't stop now. It's like George on Seinfeld smoking the cigarettes. He's like, I can't quit now. And like, I'm gonna buy an OLED today, and then the Switch 2 comes out in April. That'd be foolhardy. So, and I can't sell this thing. Nobody wants it. It's all scratched and shitty. So
that's true.
I'm stuck with it.
If you bought an OLED when it came out, though, you would have had plenty of time with it. Years.
Oh, sure. I mean, but man, I didn't expect that the Switch was going to last this long for the generation. When the OLED came out, I said, that's pretty cool. But am I going to get like 2 years out of it before they announce the next Switch? Like, how long do we have? And at that point, my Switch was not scratched at all. She looked pristine. So I was like, I mean, this one's fine. And then it is the longer and longer we've been in this like current generation. It's like, man, I should have bought that OLED, but it's too far now.
Yeah. Do you have your Switch near you? I want to see this battle hardened Switch.
No,
that's
it's
been
downstairs.
Through the ringer. Okay. I need to see this Switch someday. I expect there to be like stains on it and stuff like that. It's just been through hell.
It's not that bad, but it is noticeable. Like the borders of the screen, especially like where Treble ran over it and like it's scratched. I mean, yeah, it's if I was the Digital Foundry type person, I would not be playing this thing because it looks bad. But it's not hampering the gameplay. It's not like the screen is so scratched I'm like I can't read what that says. It's not that bad, but it's not great. Definitely wouldn't I definitely wouldn't gift this to someone like, oh hey, you wanted it even for free. I wouldn't be like, did your kid want a Switch? I have one. You hand them this like this ratty old thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even do that for free.
All right. Gene, you had an interview in the Washington Post with Eiji Aonuma. Legendary. I'm so jealous that you got to do this, man. First of all, can you tell me when you actually did this interview?
I did it a couple weeks ago, maybe just like the week before this was published. So maybe just like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was over Zoom. Like I met him in person. I met him for the Tears launch. So it was nice to catch up with him actually. And he was cool. Like, when I went to New York, I was super, super tired.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's a long flight. So he's like, it's morning in Japan and I'm much better now. So
yeah. Good. So talk to me about this interview, man. What were kind of things you asked him? What were you surprised about? What he said? Anything like that?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. I should have pulled it up earlier. Gene Park. But yeah, Nintendo was doing a kind of like a media go around for Zelda Echoes of the Wisdom. I think which was a little strange, especially afterwards. But his interview was actually scheduled earlier, like around the launch of Zelda, and they decided to delay it, and I'm not sure exactly what happened there. But yeah, I spoke with not only Eiji Aonuma, but the two co-directors of Echoes of Wisdom, Nintendo's own Tomomi Sano, and she is the first female director of Zelda. And there's Grezzo director Satoshi Terada.
Cool.
And so I spoke to all three of them, and yeah, I did. You know, the interview was a tough one because I didn't really have a lot of questions about Echoes of Wisdom in particular. You know, because they had that ask the developer interview series, which are very, very thorough, and they're very transparent in what they talk about. And they just published all that. So I was like, I'm not sure what we're trying to do here. So let me try to ask some different kind of questions instead of just something about Echoes of Wisdom, you know?
Right.
So I asked about in the developer interviews, I asked him like, what makes a Zelda like? And he was like, yeah, that's the hardest question to answer. And so for Aonuma, his perspective on Zelda like is that, you know, it has to be an adventure game. And the most important thing is that you felt like you accomplished something, like it was like you have an agency of, oh, I did that, or I figured that out, you know. And a lot of people interpreted that as like, oh my god, it's just Breath of the Wild, or you know, Tears of the Kingdom, or even Link Between Worlds, like a do anything type of puzzle. And I don't think he's actually saying that. I think his definition is consistent with the original, you know, Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time. Yeah. Whereas like that's the genius of the puzzles, in that even though there's only one way to do those puzzles, they're designed in a way that makes the player feel like they stumbled upon the solution themselves, and you're just like, I figured it out now. Okay, cool. You know, that's like the sense of reward that I think has been consistent, and what Zelda has been doing with Breath of the Wild and Echoes of Wisdom is basically kind of extending that and like kind of trying to figure that out in many different ways. You know.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the Zelda series is still brilliant. You know.
Oh yeah. You're right, Gene. Like, it's about that feeling of satisfaction when you solve something. Like you said, even in the old ones, if there's one solution, it still feels good to solve that puzzle.
Yep. I think a lot of people forget that it always felt good, and it always felt like you earned that puzzle. Yeah. And then he also talked about why. So another question I asked him is, why does Nintendo always revisit classic genres? You know, because you know, you see Sony. Naughty Dog isn't even doing Crash Bandicoot anymore. Jack and Daxter, you know. You see Sucker Punch is not even doing Sly Cooper at all. Final Fantasy is doing HD 2D remakes, you know. So there's that going on. And they still make 2D RPGs, right? But that's because Square Enix is just a massive, you know, kraken of a publisher. But Nintendo does that because what Aonuma says is that, you know, there has to be some kind of opportunity, you know, like a good reason to bring back the genre. And so for Echoes of Wisdom, he was like, yeah, I mean, Grezzo did a really good job with Link's Awakening, and he was like, it'd be a waste to just not do that again, honestly. Right. Which is smart. Yeah. Like as soon as we saw the intro for Echoes of Wisdom in that direct a couple months ago, like not even that long ago, honestly. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, they kept the art style," you know, and that was really surprising and pleasing for everybody. But one of the last things we talked about here is, and this is the one that got a lot of people talking, is how Nintendo games are written with story as the afterthought. Yeah. And what I write here is establishing game designs concepts before creating a narrative to graft around them. But this approach is weird. Doing the opposite, starting with a story or concept first, is weird for Nintendo. And he says, quote, "I've never really made a game where you think of the story first and then go into the gameplay. First, when you think of the gameplay, what you're trying to think of after that is how you can get players to understand the gameplay. The story becomes used as a vessel because it has a beginning and an end, and the player moves through it. I think it would actually be kind of difficult to do the reverse and start with the story, then try to match the gameplay mechanics to that." And you know, I saw some developers on Blue Sky, especially, have a bone to pick with that, because they're like, that doesn't account for narrative design. And yes, it does, though. You know, that we're just not using the words, and I'm not going to use jargon words like narrative design versus narrative in a Washington Post article, right?
Right.
But secondly, and I saw another developer friend of mine was like, no, but actually a lot of games do start with gameplay first. Like, for example, Dishonored was a ninja game, right? First. And like, my point is, and what Anu's point is, and what Nintendo does, they don't even go as far as saying, oh, this is going to be a game about ninjas, though. They don't have general concepts of games where like, oh, this is going to be a ninja game where you're going to be a stealth game or whatever. Or, my developer friend was like, oh yeah, but I'm going to make a Coen Brothers like game. And I was like, then you're just contradicting yourself. You already have the story and the concept right before you even think about what kind of game it is, right? That's completely different from what Nintendo does, where they just throw a bunch of gray boxes together and see how they bounce. There's no Splatoon didn't start as like, oh, it's going to be a game about being wet and squids or whatever like that. Or none of that. It was literally two squares like splatting around, and then they created the narrative and the world around that, And then some people also took issue with my word as an afterthought. And it's like, no, I'm literally using the word afterthought. Like, it's a thing that comes afterwards. It's not like they don't care about narrative. Although, you might argue that Tears of the Kingdom didn't really care.
I could argue.
Yeah, you can argue. I can argue also that Tears of the Kingdom definitely did not focus the narrative. Even worse than Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild's story was much better, overall. Although Tears of the Kingdom ended like so strong, it was it's like some rat shit happened, right? But they all fit together kind of messily.
Yes.
And it's not like they don't care about narrative. Again, look at Splatoon. Splatoon has a whole like fashion industry, and they got pop stars, and they got like different cities, and they have a whole lore about, that's a little bit like Nier Automata, where the squids are evolved humans, or they took over the humans who died out or whatever. So Nintendo clearly cares about story, and they'll go whole hog if they need to. Splatoon, I think, again, is another is a great example of that. But it's just that they just don't think about this. They don't think about the story first. You can't tell me that God of War Ragnarok started with gameplay first.
Right.
You can't. That's impossible. It's the exact same game as God of War 2018. First of all, right? But they came up with a story first before they made the game.
Yeah, it's not like going from Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask, where you add in this crazy new whole time mechanic and mask mechanic going on there. Ragnarok, of course, did some things different, but not nearly as drastic as that. Like a whole new gameplay system,
exactly,
with game focused around that.
Exactly, you got the point. If God of War Ragnarok was gameplay first, then it would be a much different game than God of War 2018, right? But it wasn't. They were just like, let's just continue the story,
Yeah.
Last of Us Part 2,
Yeah.
It's just,
and it's like there's nothing wrong with that or whatever. It's just different things you want to do in gaming.
Exactly. It's just different projects. I'm not saying that God of War Ragnarok is a worse game than Zelda, although it is.
Right.
But not for that reason alone.
Right. Yeah.
But again, it goes to show why Nintendo games are so gameplay heavy and why they are so fun and why they have this crazy loop that in the end doesn't matter with the story. Even though Tears of the Kingdom story was not quite as good, or it didn't quite meet our expectations, definitely didn't meet my expectations. It was still a great game, and I still consider it overall a better game than Breath of the Wild. I would still rather play it than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, sure. It kind of made Breath of the Wild irrelevant in so many ways.
Right? Like, I'm just saying, I don't need to play Breath of the Wild anymore because Tears of the Kingdom has everything. And of that, just and more. There's more outfits. There's more, obviously, vehicles and more enemies. The world is more built out, even though the story just doesn't quite fit with Breath of the Wild. That's okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
We're role playing here.
Yeah. It's like, it makes total sense to me, Nintendo. They've always been like that. Gameplay's always been their kind of main focus every time throughout Nintendo's history. I mean, you can tell, for better or for worse, some of their games, like Nintendo games usually aren't known for stories, I would say.
No.
And if you care about Nintendo's story, I've had this happen to me many times, is I care about Zelda's story and people are like, why do you even care about it? Why do you even care? It's just like, well, because there's potential there and I can see glimpses of it every now and then. So I want more from it. That's just where my frustration comes in. Is I wish they somehow could manage to get better story in there. Because gameplay, of course, ideas, they always nail. Like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, insane concepts, like with the stuff you can do in those games. Especially Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I was blown away at just like the tech in that game and how well it ran for what it was on a Switch is very impressive to me. But hopefully they can just get better story sometimes. They try sometimes. It works.
I was really hoping more from Ganon. In Tears
we
of the
all
Kingdom,
were, yeah. We all were.
Because
another origin story. Okay.
Yeah, like a much better origin story. Basically, like they did kind of do the origin story, but it wasn't quite that, and it was very different from what we've known. It kind of echoed Ocarina of Time, which was interesting. But we didn't really get much of him. He didn't really show up a lot in the game. He was a background mysterious actor in Breath of the Wild. He kind of loomed over the whole world and the whole story, but he didn't really show up. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, well, this is the pop off now. This is when he really shows up and struts his stuff. And you didn't really get that, We got it at the end with the final boss. That was sick. Mm-hmm. The best final boss in Zelda history. Yep. So they definitely brought their 10-10 game there.
Yeah.
I just wish it was reflected throughout the whole story. And yeah, I care about the Zelda story. I was disappointed when it was like, oh wow, we were just, it's not that interesting. Ganon's backstory, he's really bitter about he's just evil, and the potential is because of Wind Waker Ganon,
Yeah.
And the jealousy and envy and the regret that he held there. And we just almost never get that guy again, ever. Mm-hmm. Twilight Princess maybe a little bit, but after that, it's like, he's just kind of he's an archetype, so to speak.
Yeah, he's not really around after Twilight Princess, because then Skyward Sword is demise, and Girahim.
Mm-hmm. And Link Between Worlds was just what's his face?
Not Agnem. I forgot his name.
Oh, Yuga, the sorcerer.
Yeah, that's it.
Yuga.
Yeah,
yes, thank you.
Fake Agnem.
Hey, yeah, you've been playing it, so
I did play it.
We'll get into it. Fear not. Yeah. But please check out Gene's review in Washington Post if you would like to read all of it. It's good stuff. Gene, I'm jealous that you get to talk to these awesome creators.
Yeah, it's cool. I have to think about how cool that is, how much of a privilege that is, because for Mr. Matty Plays, he got the interview with Todd Howard, and everyone was like, oh my god, dude, good job, and then for me, I just see Todd at the bar and just be like, hey, what's up, it's definitely different levels of access that I have that compared to creators or anything too, for Pete's sake, I'm trying to moderate my language. For Pete's sake, I had dinner with Kitase and Hamaguchi, the directors of Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Sick, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so I definitely live a pretty cool life for someone who likes video games. So.
Hell yeah! Well, you don't waste it, so that's a good thing.
I don't waste it at all. Yeah, I don't want to waste an opportunity. I definitely want to make sure I get some good interviews out of this. So
yeah, cool, awesome.
Yeah, that was actually the same night I interviewed Hashino-san of Persona and Metaphor.
Oh damn, you did both? That's sick.
So it was
same
both.
day.
And,
wow.
Yeah, Eiji Aonuma and the director of Persona 3, 4, 5 and Metaphor, back to back. I was like, okay, Eiji, I gotta go. And I spoke right with Hashino right afterwards. But yeah, so that's my night.
Yeah, that's cool.
That time.
Good stuff.
I've been busy.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's talk about what we've been playing. We're going to start with Gene because Micah Yumi talked deeply about what we were playing on Summon Sign yesterday. Gene, let's start with you, though. What have you been playing, good sir?
Yeah, well, I saw that we had a write about Dragon Age Velguard, so I was going to talk about that.
Oh, sure. But, yeah, you can read. Where was it?
Above the Switch console, but he says it's from Deathspank. I can read it.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Punchers. The Game Awards nominees were revealed, and something odd stood out to me. Dragon Age 4 was only nominated for Best Accessibility, despite the quote-unquote amazing reviews it was getting. What do you think happened? It didn't even get nominated for Best RPG.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah, which is wild. Because I actually think Dragon Age Velguard is really, really good, guys. I think it's a really good game.
I've been talking to Lockmort about it, and he's enjoying it.
He's enjoying it too?
Yeah, he says there's problems, of course. It sounds like everyone's like, yeah, the writing sucks.
Yeah.
Some of it's pretty cringe and all that, but a lot of people are coming away just being like, yeah, it was good. I had fun.
Yeah, because the game gets a lot better. Like, here's the thing. Well, let me answer
Death Spank.
Death Spank's question first. What do I think happened? I do think that Dragon Age Veilguard, even though I think it's a really good game, I do think it does have all those problems, like you said. Because it's sad to see the discourse be so toxic, because even the Dragon Age fandom, like the Tumblr focus Dragon the Tumblr born Dragon Age fandom, right? The woke crowd, they have huge issues with the writing in this game too. They're also wondering, why is everything so wholesome? Why is there no conflict? Why is every fight between the party members always resolved in the next scene, and then you just kind of move on and you just never really think about it? Why are certain story beats, and I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's some huge things that happen or is revealed within the Dragon Age universe in Veilguard, and that was actually what's pushing me toward beating it. Is that I heard that some long-standing questions about Dragon Age lore is answered in Veilguard, and they do that, and that's a really exciting part, and that's when the writing gets really good, and that's why we can't talk about whenever someone say, give us a good example of the good writing, and it's like, yeah, if I do, then I'm going to spoil the whole game. There's a final battle scene in Act 1 that is in none of the previews, none of the reviews. Because it's kind of a spoiler, and it's kind of a visual spoiler, and what you see when in this battle is really, really sick. I was like, this is actually the coolest scene I've seen in 2024 in all of games, in terms of AAA, in terms of like thematics and everything like that. Like, this one scene is so awesome, So Dragon Age Veilguard does have that stuff, but I think it didn't get those nominations because it does have a lot of issues in terms of structure, in terms of writing. I think it deserved a little bit more than that, though. Not best RPG, because it's not a regular RPG. It barely is. That's another frustrating thing about Dragon Age Veilguard, is that I'm also playing Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm in a mega Dragon Age mood right now.
Are.
Yeah. Tell me, Brad, why you're laughing about me playing Dragon Age Inquisition.
This is such a funny thing, Gene. Whenever you get like in a phase, you get crazy deep into like the games, and you start playing a bunch of different versions or different sequels, prequels, all that stuff. The whole franchise you get into.
Yeah.
But you're a sick freak and you just can't get enough of Dragon Age. So now you're going back to Inquisition now.
I have gone back to Inquisition. Did you play Inquisition?
No, it's the only one I've played 1 and 2, but I've not played that.
Oh, okay. I thought that's why you're laughing, because Inquisition is an insane game.
That's what I've heard from everybody.
It is absolutely insane. 2014 Game of the Year, the very first Game of the Year winner for the Keighley Awards, Game Awards. 2014 was a slow year. Dark Souls 2 was probably the other best game that year.
Tropical Freeze! Bayonetta 2!
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Bayonetta 2!
Yeah, Wii U,
Yeah, Wii U stank, I know.
But Inquisition is an insane game. You know why? Because it has 268 side quests.
Whoa, that's a lot. Okay.
Yes. And there are 57 of them in the first area, and the first area has the most side quests.
Wow, jeez.
So, I remember when I played it, I made the same mistake, and the experience seems to be universal. That first area is called the Hinterlands, and it's massive. It's actually the biggest area in the game. It has so many side quests, and it's only the beginning. And a lot of people, including me, on the second run, thought that I was like, I should clear out the Hinterlands, and then it ends up taking like 10 or 20 hours.
Oh my god!
And then that's when I realized, in my most recent play right now, I was like, I'm just doing a lot of dumb side quests right now. Am I even supposed to be doing this? And I finally looked up on Reddit, and people are like, no, don't do all the side quests in the Hinterlands. That's like the rookie mistake. And I was like, oh yes, I remember I made that mistake too. But I'm playing Inquisition because of the lore drops in Veilguard. Everything that you've learned about Solus, which is the character that was the cliffhanger in Inquisition, Uh, this is not a spoiler because Solus is the bad guy of Velgard. He's in every trailer. The game is formerly called Dreadwolf, which is Solus's other name. So the big reveal of Inquisition is that he is the Dreadwolf, the elven god, the Dreadwolf. And that left a bad taste in my mouth. But now that I have all the answers 10 years later, I'm actually interested in going back to Inquisition and finding out more of the story that was just went over my head, or will I appreciate Solus more as a character? Because I didn't like Solus as a character because I was betrayed by the cliffhanger ending. I was just pissed off that the game ended with a finish the fight ending with a really good cliffhanger. But I was like, I wish I kind of knew more about him in the game as opposed to like, oh, he's the bad guy,
Yeah.
I didn't like that. But now that I know a lot more about him 10 years later, I'm like, okay, well, now I actually deeply, deeply appreciate him as a character now, I now see what everyone else sees. And maybe I missed a lot of that in Inquisition. So let me go back to Inquisition, especially knowing everything about him now, basically, and seeing what I can appreciate about that character. So, yeah, I've been playing Dragon Age Inquisition on the Steam Deck, which has been a lot of fun. I actually had to download special Proton layers for controller support to even work on Dragon Age Inquisition. But once I got that going, it just runs so smoothly, 60 FPS. It's a PS4 game. It's one of the first generation PS4 games, so it runs perfectly fine on the Steam Deck and beautifully. And been having a lot of fun just playing that and just kind of re-entering the world of Dragon Age. I wish the entire series, to your point, Brad, about how insane I get when I like a game and I just go deep into the series. I wish the whole series was better available.
Yeah.
Especially on PC. The Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 does not have controller support at all on PC. So it just would not work on Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And even the text is super tiny because this came from the age where PC games thought that having super, super tiny size 2 font text, it was sophisticated and smart and not console, not baby like consoles, which is stupid.
Yes.
It's like, let me just read the sentence. For Christ's sake. So Dragon Age Origins is not in a good place on PC. So what I ended up doing is I ended up buying the discs on Xbox 360. So I'm waiting for those to come in. And I guess I'll play maybe I'll replay the whole series on Xbox someday. But right now I've been having a lot of fun playing both Veilguard and Inquisition on PC.
Okay.
And yeah, let me finish off with Veilguard by saying that Skill Up Ralph is a good friend of mine, and we talk all the time. And we actually don't disagree on a lot of things, but I actually have to disagree with him a lot on the Veilguard, Veilguard review. Not that he wasn't accurate about things, but just his taste, where he didn't like the level design of Veilguard, and I didn't like it at first. I actually hated it, and it was a huge reason why I didn't like the game at first. And then you get to other levels, and you're like, this is a lot more open and a lot more intricate and a lot more well designed in terms of pathways and loops and how the world fits together, how there's NPCs around. It actually works quite beautifully. And some of the locales are really cool too. The most frustrating thing though, and this is why Dragon Age Veilguard is not a great RPG, is that you just can't talk to anybody. You know who Morgan is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Morgan is basically the most important character in Dragon Age,
right.
the Dragon Age series. She's the only character that is consistent. She's in all 4 games, and she's in this one too. She shows up, and you can't talk to her. She just does her cutscene, and then she's there. The most important character, the character with probably all the answers to so many different things, and you can't even have a conversation with her or catch up with her or see what she's doing. This is not that kind of game. You can't just go up to people and just talk to them and have a conversation. If you're talking to them, you're getting a quest. You're getting a mission. There's no conversations that you can have to build lore activate it on your own. Now, the partner conversations are great, actually. They're a lot like Mass Effect, wherein they just have banter in the background as you're doing the levels, and the depth of the writing here is amazing because these characters actually grow in their relationships depending on how you pair them with each other. And they would repeat topics that they talked about before. with the other person. They would remember those topics and they would continue those. They would remark on the surroundings. They would refer back to cutscenes and side quests that we've already completed. I ended the game with two of characters, Tosh and Balara, and during the final battle, they were referring to like a bonding moment that they actually had like several hours before in a cutscene, and I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy! I can't believe they're actually like referring back to that cutscene. What if I had someone else? What would they talk about? Things like that is really interesting." But you really have to get over the fact that you can't just talk to anybody. You can't, because like when I'm playing Inquisition, oh my god, you can just go up to every single person and just have a conversation with them. It's like Baldur's Gate,
right?
Mm-hmm. Baldur's Gate 3, you can talk to every single person and they have a whole story thread, and God willing, they might have a side quest to give you. Dragon Age Inquisition, they give you so many goddamn side quests. It's very much like an MMO in terms of structure. But, a lot of the characters you can just talk to. You can ask them about their history or what they're doing here, or, what their problem is or whatever like that. Dragon Age Veilguard, no such thing. No such thing. You can only do it in cutscenes, and it's frustrating. So that's why this game is just like a huge step back for RPGs. The RPG BioWare, that the BioWare used to make. And also another thing is that like, a lot of people are getting mad about at Veilguard. It's like, well, I can't make Rook the character that I want to be. So what kind of RPG is this? And I was like, have you played Final Fantasy VII? Can you make Cloud anyone you want to be?
Right. I guess the only thing
issue is that Dragon Age didn't used to be like that.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Dragon Age was always kind of, you are the character, I suppose. You pick. And I've only played 1 and 2. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but BioWare games, you were always a character. You're either the Sith Lord or the Jedi, or and you choose your path through that. But I think obviously the decision was probably made because you saw that like 90% of Mass Effect players didn't play the Renegade. They play Paragon.
Yeah.
So it's like, why did we even develop this whole other path and this whole other the like pathway of possibility when like only 10% of people actually saw it? So yeah, Rook, the main character, Veilguard, is just his own character or their own character.
I get that whole thing of like, why did we even design this kind of thing if no one does it, sort of thing. But I think games nowadays can do it so much better because the writing isn't necessarily have to be so black and white about certain choices. Because Mass Effect, blue or red. Blue good, but red bad, or something like that.
Too binary, yeah.
Yeah, it's very binary. But when you look at like Baldur's Gate or something like that, or other CRPGs and stuff like that, it's like you have a lot more flexibility about how you want to approach things. So I think people were just kind of maybe disappointed in the sense because we've seen stuff like that happen where it's like, okay, this is possible in the modern age. We've seen it happen from like Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. And you get Dragon Age, another like RPG series that people love, Western RPG series that used to have several dialogue options from what I remember. It's been a long time, and now you're just kind of this character.
Right. It was Dragon Age was the response to Dragon Age. They made Dragon Age because they were tired of having licensed games. The only games BioWare had were games that were IP that belonged to other people, Dungeons and Dragons and Star Wars. So that's why Mass Effect and Dragon Age were like, well, we can make our own sci-fi and fantasy series, and that's what happened.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like things change over time, and that's fine. But I could see why people would be disappointed in that sense.
I was disappointed too. You have to get over it. If that's something you expect, then that's a huge hurdle for this game. Is that this is something you have to get over. You have to get over the fact that Rook is a character that's written for you, and he's going to be very quippy. It's kind of annoying. He's just making jokes all the time. Like, dude, something crazy tragic happens in Veilguard, and like everyone's like, "Oh, dude, you're good, Rook. You know." It's like, dude, what? Why are we talking like this right now? Like, do you realize what's going to happen and what's happening down south?
Yeah.
Like what? Like you don't stop being the quirky nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there, even with all the woke stuff, this game is not even that woke, honestly, because like Tosh, the non-binary character, I just think, well, I scratch that. Can we edit that out because that's a spoiler? Like spoiler, sorry. But what I'll talk about is, because I just don't want to mention who it is. But in Dragon Age Veilguard, the wokeness has a limit because you make decisions for people that your main character has no claim to make. It's like if Micah asked me, because Micah, you're biracial, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So how would you feel if I told you, Micah, you should just be white? Actually.
Oh yeah. That
right?
like sounds crazy.
or even if I told you should be black, actually, you should like get rid of all this Massachusetts like stuff or whatever, and you should just lean more into being black, right? Like a decision like that is in Veilguard, where you're telling somebody you should be like this culture instead. It's crazy,
It's really weird.
It's crazy. This is the woke game, It's clearly written by white people.
Yeah, millennials.
Written by white people. Yeah, they might be gay or trans or non-binary, but they're all white. That's for sure. So that's the Veilguard has a lot of issues, and even the hardcore Dragon Age fandom has a lot of issues with it.
Right.
But in the end, though, if you just really take the game for what it is, as just an action RPG with fun stuff and some cool lore moments, then the game is actually really good.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna count it in my top 10 for my game of the year list.
Yeah,
I think it'll be lower. I initially thought it was gonna be higher, but then the more I thought about the writing and the overall story, I was like, no, actually, it should be lower. Still.
Yeah. Every time someone talks this game about me, it's always like set your expectations in certain regards, and it's like, damn. Everyone I talk to is like semi coping with it or like realizing it's like, well,
that doesn't sound sexy, right?
Yeah,
where
like this sucks.
It's not a great pitch. Where it's like, no, you have to manage your expectations, and you have to like psychologically fix yourself this way and this way. It's a lot of work to like the game, but you can like it though.
And I think that's a totally okay mindset to have about certain games. Like even I'm like that with many games, but it's surprising when I saw the reviews for this game of what it got, like high 9s, 8s everywhere. But now everyone's like, you got to set these expectations for it. Like these are the kind of things I say about like a 6 game. Like Slitterhead is a perfect example of something like this. Like, yeah, it's shitty in a lot of ways, but it's still kind of cool. There's some cool stuff about it.
Yeah, IGN had that essay about like, Dragon Age Veilguard is trapped between a reboot and a direct sequel that's trying to answer a cliffhanger, right? And that essay was correct. And that a huge problem with Veilguard is the part of the reason why I didn't like it at first is because I don't like Solus. And so the whole part of the motivation for the game is about stopping Solus. And I'm like, I'm not motivated at all. I don't care about this guy. It took, again, 10, 15 hours for the game to start making me care about the guy, start developing a plot that I actually cared about. And here's why I think the reviews were so high in the first place. The game ends really strong. The final act, even Scale Up said, I wish the rest of the game was like this, right?
Yeah.
The last 4 or 5 hours. And it's really, really strong. It's about as good as Mass Effect 2 or Mass Effect 3 in terms of like what happens there, the stakes, the action, like the drama. I would even say that it's probably even better than the final. Well, let me step back. Mass Effect 2 Suicide Mission is like classic. Okay, so I don't want to, but the last boss is cooler. I hated the last boss in Mass Effect 2, right? So the last boss is a lot cooler for Dragon Age Veilguard, and yeah, it just ends really, really strong. There's a lot of cool story revelations happen at the end. The acting goes up to like a 10. The music gets crazy. Like all the characters aren't cringe, and like everyone's just like working together and like building towards this great action crescendo. So I think a lot of the reviews were recency biased. Also, that we didn't get a lot of time to review the game. It was only like a week and a half. So people would beat the game and they'll be like, "Fuck, that ended so cool," and then they would write the review and they'll be high off that review. And even me, after a few days of beating Veilguard, I was pretty high after it. I was like, yo, I think Veilguard is actually one of the best games of the year. But then I'm coming down from the high, and when I'm like analyzing and I'm playing Inquisition and seeing what Veilguard was missing, I was like, oh, I remember now why I hated this game so much 80 hours ago, you know? So yeah, that it's still there. So Veilguard is I think you might wait for a sale, you know, especially if you're not chomping at the bit to find out. If you are chomping at the bits to find out about the Dragon Age lore, then I think you gotta play it. If you're a Dragon Age fan, like lore nut, like Locke is enjoying it because he loves Dragon Age, right? And I'm pretty sure that the reason why he likes it is because like some of the lore information in this game is pretty sick. You can't deny that this is a good Dragon Age game when it comes to lore sometimes. So
yeah, cool. All right, Micah, any small updates you got for us about what you're playing? I noticed, actually, before you get into it, though, that you purchased Majora's Mask also on 3DS. And Ocarina of Time is coming. So the Zelda adventures will continue right now. But yeah, you Link Between Worlds, I guess. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? We talked about it a lot yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday on Summon Sign, we went very in depth. So if you want to hear a longer conversation about it, go check out that episode. The update, for our Punching Up audience, I beat A Link Between Worlds. I had a fantastic time with it. The ending made me cry. Like when you were talking earlier, Gene, about Zelda games being mechanics first, story second. This is a really great example, in my opinion, of when it goes perfectly right. Because yes, being able to merge with the walls is a really interesting way to add this whole new layer to your puzzle solving. You have to look and approach each room very differently than you normally would. It makes you see the whole world in the game differently. And then they do have a sparse story throughout. Like while you're playing it, you get little bits and pieces of the story, but you're not getting lengthy cutscenes, really. You're not getting a ton of elaborate dialogue. But the ending, it all came together so perfectly that I actually cried. I just couldn't believe it, only because, as we talk about, this isn't a game that gave you a ton of story, but it was still emotionally impactful. So it was very well done. The puzzles I enjoyed a lot. What I said on Summon Sign was that in general, this game felt a step more difficult than Link's Awakening, but it was strictly because the puzzles of how you get to each dungeon are much more tricky. And you have to go through these portals basically in the correct sequence to get to each dungeon. Sometimes they have like a little puzzle thrown in to that sequence as well. And if you mess up the puzzle, you got to start the portal sequence all over again. And that's the stuff I used a guide for, like shamelessly, because I just said, there's no way I'm spending, an hour figuring out just how to get to this next dungeon. Whereas Link's Awakening was just a little more straightforward, in my opinion, on how to actually just navigate the map to get to the next place. So I do feel like it was a little more difficult in some respects. The actual dungeons themselves and those puzzles, I feel like were on par. I was doing really well with most of those. There was one dungeon that was like really tricky and I ended up just needing more help with, but that has happened in every Zelda game I've tried so far. There seems to be one that I don't necessarily click with in my brain and I need a little more help. But the experience throughout the whole thing, I had a ton of fun. Took me 16 and a half hours. So that's the perfect game length, in my opinion, for something like this. Something that's so puzzle heavy. It's part of why I shy away from experiences like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, I don't really want this game to be that long of an experience. It's all puzzles and thinking and brain work, and it's not what I want to play for longer than like 20 or 30 hours, like at the max type deal. Like it's just, it was like a perfect game length for that. I also skipped out on some of like the mini games and stuff that would have extended the experience, but just going through and like mainlining all the dungeons and everything, 16 hours is a great game length. And I love, these shorter game experiences. And yeah, as you mentioned, Brad, I did go ahead and buy Ocarina of Time for 3DS and the Majora's Mask. There's a lot of controversy on the Majora's Mask 3DS version, but it's like, I asked
You won't
people.
notice it. You won't notice it because you don't
What
know.
was controversy? I don't know about this.
Some stuff like the Zora swimming is worse.
Oh,
Stuff like
okay.
that. That's like one of the main things like that.
That sucks because I never played the Majora's Mask 3DS, so that's awful. Because the
Yeah,
Zora swing was great.
Way worse. Yeah, it's way
Oh
worse.
man, it was so good in N64. What the hell?
Yeah.
It was like a fighter jet.
Yeah, but they've made some stuff like it's easier to keep track of some of the activities. You'll know what I'm talking about when you play it, though, Micah. So you probably won't even really notice it.
That's the thing is the key takeaway from everything I read online and also asking people I know, like in the Discord, which one would I choose? The most people, for example, on Reddit, there were several different threads saying which version should I play as a complete. I've never played this before. And enough people said you won't notice what's, wrong in quotes if you've never played it before.
Oh, totally.
So it's like, so choose the platform that's most convenient for you. And it just is like, I love the 3DS and I've just been having fun playing it again. So for Ocarina of Time, people heavily recommended the 3DS version. For Majora's Mask, people recommended it less. But when I, checked in on the Discord, with people I talk about, games with frequently, our listeners and everything, and a lot of them recommended that I just get the 3DS one if that's where I want to play it. Because like you said, Brad, I might notice that the swimming mechanics are janky, but I don't have a comparison to make. In my head, it's just janky swimming. It's not ruined. It's just janky, right?
Yeah.
So I am going to get those and I'll try those out. I don't know if I'm going to move to that next. Like right now I'm playing Dragon Quest 3, HD 2D remake. Oh, it's great.
I want to hear about it.
Oh, it's great. Oh, yeah. We're going to get into that too.
Okay.
But so it's like, what do I choose after this game, which is being like a lengthier RPG? I don't know if I want to jump into a Zelda after that or something completely different like palate cleanser, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But we'll figure that out. People keep telling me to play the Minish Cap on Nintendo Switch Online.
Oh, totally. Yes.
So I might try that. I mean, the overall goal is to try as many of these games as possible and just get a taste of each one, whether I like it or not. Like making no promises to love these games, but just keep trying them.
Honestly, the fact that you're trying Zelda at all is like awesome. That's so cool. So it makes me so happy.
But you better love Ocarina of Time or you're off the show.
Oh, I'll do my best. I mean, it does have attractive Ganon, so that works, right? We have one.
Yeah, Gerudo Ganondorf. That is the hottest he's ever been for sure.
Oh, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom Ganon, but Wind Waker Ganon is the hottest.
Well, yeah.
And then maybe
his big old chest.
It's really. But you just, we're not getting into it. I see Brad. Okay. Dragon Quest 3 HD. It's great. Brad and I talked about it on Summon Sign that it's simplistic but engaging. I don't feel bored. I don't feel like it's so easy. I'm missing something because the enemies are tough enough to still keep you on your toes. The fact that you can't easily revive, your teammates like out in the field keeps you on your toes. So it is simplistic gameplay.
You got to go back to church to save all the time, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It keeps you, focused because while the battle system is very easy to pick up, and I appreciate that. We discuss some of these really complex games like Persona, like Metaphor, and the systems are just like it's so in the weeds just to get into this game. There's so much to learn. And Dragon Quest is not like that at all. You have your list of attacks, your spells. It's just like it's so simple to pick up and play. I mean, an amazing, orchestral soundtrack. It's really, really pretty from what I heard. And then, the story peppered in. It's not too heavy on story, but again, going back and forth between some of these games, like I've been cautiously watching Colin play Metaphor. I plan to play it, but I get glimpses. And last night I watched him, watch this cutscene that was like 30 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, they're still talking over there? Like, you haven't touched the controller in forever. They're just rambling. And it's cool because it's a different style. I love Persona and how wordy it is. I love how in-depth the story is. Same with like the Yakuza games. Like, yeah, give me a Yakuza 0 30-minute cutscene, sure. But it's also nice to play something like this that's kind of like you're 16 years old, it's time to adventure, and you're like, yes, mother, and you just go. And that's the fucking story. That's like all it gives you. That's all it gives you.
And said it's time to face a day, and that's it, you know?
Exactly. I did switch to the Japanese voices because I'm not fucking with this British voice cast. I'm just like, I'm not doing this. Not again. Xenoblade was enough. And it's mostly because there's not... It's really because there's not much voice.
Xenoblade was extremely, extremely European. I understand that.
And it's because... So in a game like this that doesn't actually have a lot of dialogue, I will more often default to the Japanese voices because you're not reading very much. This game hardly talks to you. And in reality, too, most of the lines aren't voiced. So you're reading it anyways. But with something like Xenoblade with lengthy cutscenes, it's like, no, I want you to read it to me and I want to understand what you're saying. So I won't put it on the Japanese voices. For this, it just feels much more at home to hear it in the Japanese, and it's just so expressive. It's really well done, but it's fantastic so far. I'm very early in the game, only a couple hours, but it's exactly what I wanted. As someone who is very new to the Dragon Quest series, this is just a really great way to get into it. I appreciate that they're releasing the games in chronological order. So they're releasing 3 first as the start of the story. Then they'll release the other 2 games. So you're really just, it's almost like the Yakuza 0 treatment, you know, without them having to actually make a prequel game. They're like, well, we'll just release them in this order so it makes sense to newcomers. I love that. And I appreciate some of the niceties they've done, like adding objective markers. You can turn those on if you want them on. Things like that to make it a little more friendly to people like me who aren't as used to the old school games that don't tell you as much, that don't hold your hand at all. So it's been fantastic.
What have you named your party? Have you named them after people you know in your real life?
Oh, so I named my hero Manfred. And then I got confused because it asks, like, you name your character. And then it's like, but what's your true name? And it's like, I didn't know what it wanted, so I named him Arby. I don't know if that's going to come back later or not. And then the party members, I was unclear if you could rename them. Right now, they just have their default names. Like, you pick them up at the party planning shop, I guess, the party planning committee.
If you go upstairs,
you go pick them up.
Planner, there's a custom party.
Oh, well, right now they all have their default names. And I keep making fun of them because I'm like, Margaret, like, sucks.
go back to the central castle town. Go back to that inn where you got the party planner. Go upstairs, and there you can have different classes of party members. You can change their hairstyle, the color of their hair, the way their clothes look, and their name. Huge, massive customization. And that's new for this version, or at least new for, like, different from the NES version. Anyways,
yeah.
No, that's excellent. I'll name my wizard Radagast instead of, I think he's named Romeo, and I'm like, that sucks. You know, like, it's funny.
It's recommended that you name your party after people you know in your real life.
Never.
Because
not after what happened on Oregon Trail, Gene. I can't have that happen again.
Okay, you already have the experience with Oregon Trail, so that's fine.
I already watched the life leave Brad's eyes once. I can't stand to see it again.
Yeah.
So I named my party after my sister Clara, my best buddy Joey, and Susie, the super hunter. She's like basically my best friend right now too. So
nice. Yeah, I talked to Micah about Dragon Quest as well yesterday, and it's very comfy. I'm enjoying it greatly. I haven't had much time to play it, unfortunately, and I think about it frequently. I'm just like, man, this game makes me feel good when I hop in and play it. Like you guys are saying, super basic story. The Dragon Quest thing, though, I guess, is you go to a town. There's kind of like a little story involving that town or something like that. So that's kind of the way things are going there. There's not some grand narrative that we're not hunting for Sephiroth through the whole game or something like that.
Yeah, I try to start democracy or whatever, you know.
My only complaint with the game, I guess, is, and I get why they didn't change this because it was in the original one, is when you attack enemies and stuff like that, I like to see my character do the animation.
Yeah.
And in this game, it's just first person because that's how it's
Yeah.
been.
So when they showed off the trailer for Dragon Quest HD 2D 3D, for this game in particular, they had a whole new angle that was from the side.
Oh,
And
really?
they just changed it. It's not in this game at all.
Hmm.
So I agree with you. I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh man, the FPS Dragon Quest. I get it. This is still Dragon Quest, so it's cool. But
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, like that old angle was cool. What happened to it? You know, the animations, they look so cool with the animations and the weapons out, and you can see the customized weapons out, right?
Yeah.
So even if like they didn't even go up to the characters to like hit them, like at least even if they did like a little animation like at the bottom,
like the old Final Fantasy games,
like
you
Final
know,
Fantasy, exactly.
Your character wouldn't actually hit them, but they would do like a little or something like that. Yeah. You could see. I wish they did do that because
I wish they did do that too.
It'd be cool if there's an option at least. I don't know, because they have like options in this game, battle speed, and all that stuff, which is good because the default battle speed is very slow.
The ultra fast is already pretty slow already too.
Yeah. So the only thing I don't like about that also is the character, like the enemy animation, speed up as well. So it looks like really weird. Yeah, exactly. Gene's like, yeah. It's a little too much for me. I wish they just kind of kept the animations the same and ramped it up. But I guess those are like
they're undulating a little too hard right there.
Yeah. Those are like my main criticisms of the game so far. But the autosaves definitely make it a way easier game. It's not like old Dragon Quest games where you die, you can lose like an hour of progress or something like that. So it's very forgiving in that stuff, which is cool. I'm totally into it. Beautiful game, soundtrack, incredible. So I'm looking forward to finishing one day because this is my first time going through Dragon Quest 3. So I am stoked right now. And just been playing Overwatch 2 at night with some of the boys like Ben and Lockmore. We were having a good time. Played a little more last night. Dropped in rank a couple times. It hurts, but those moments that of brilliance that I liked about Overwatch were those rare moments sometimes where the team synergy aligns perfectly and everyone does everything exactly right. And it feels so damn good to pull some stuff off. So far, so good. Still having a good time, but I'll play it casual.
Also, I picked up Dragon Quest Heroes.
1 and 2. Nice.
1 and 2.
Nice.
So this is the Japan only release. I'm not gonna understand anything, but it's a Warriors game. It's a Musou game. So I just want to.
Did Warriors not come out? Warriors 2 not come out here?
I think it came out for PS4.
Okay, just got Switch.
Yeah. But,
okay,
cool. This is like one cartridge with both games in it.
That's sick. Yeah.
And Micah, I feel like Dragon Quest 11 would be great for you after this.
Yeah, 11. I am interested in that. I mentioned it to Brad on Summon Sign. I did watch Colin play some of that. Yeah, I mean, he's a huge Dragon Quest fan. So I do want to check out more from the series, much like my Zeldas now. I'm just going to kind of go through and see what's available, what I can easily play. And yeah, I definitely plan on getting into more of these. I also need to get back to Dragon Quest 8. It's just a game, like it's a really big game, and I had fun with it, but it is there's not a ton of story there, so the motivation was waning a bit. But this has been so fun with Dragon Quest 3. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna get back to that one on the side. You know, we're gonna kind of jump back and forth.
So 8 doesn't have a lot of story. I never played.
8 has more story than 8's my favorite Dragon Quest game. Like it's on my wall right
there.
Yeah,
right there. Yeah.
Micah, you got to stop Dolmagus in 8. What are you talking about? You got to take him down.
Like there is a as we kind of talked about, there's an overarching story of you got to stop the bad guy, but it is the dialogue moments, like you said, Brad. You go to a town. And then you find out that you got to help someone in this town who's probably going to join your party, right? And that's the bits and pieces of story. But then in between that, it's like hours and hours of battles with no story. Yeah. And it's different from something like Octopath, for example, that just kind of keeps hitting you with story much more frequently. Yeah. It might not be as like even Octopath doesn't have a ton of dialogue, in my opinion, but they just pepper it in more frequently. Dragon Quest 8 has a good story, and I liked where it was going, but it's like I have done 2 hours of fights and haven't had a single update in like what I'm doing, or I feel like I haven't made any progress towards that goal is as part of it. I also think I'm just going to drop the difficulty down to easy simply to try and avoid some of the grinding, because it is just getting stale. I think I'm 15 hours into that game, and looking at a guide, I don't even know if I was a quarter of the way through this walkthrough, right? It's just so much time spent battling the level up. I don't really, for games like that, I don't really have any shame dropping it to easy, because I'm not dropping it to easy because it's too difficult. I'm dropping it to easy because it's just too lengthy. Exactly. It's like I really just want to experience this game, but the gameplay loop isn't rewarding enough for me to do this at normal speed, basically.
I did that in Dragon Quest 3 HD, where I dropped it down to easy for like the first, because I actually haven't even finished the first tower in Dragon Quest 3 yet, because I've just been like listening to podcasts like a degenerate, like a Micah degenerate, and just grinding. But I dropped it down to easy, and now I'm like level 15. I'm probably over leveled for the first game.
Probably, probably.
But I just massively just killing blue slimes over and over again. But because that's how I used to play Dragon Quest as a kid. I didn't know any other way to play Dragon Quest. Like one, I was like, I just got to get stronger forever.
Yeah. You would love 8, Gene, if you played it.
8,
Micah.
I gotta play 8.
It's so good. The 3DS version adds content in it, like extra characters and stuff. I haven't like gotten super far in the 3DS one, but the PS2 one is like one of my favorite RPGs ever. So
I don't know how I'm
gonna shot one. It's a long game though. I might
have to go duck station for this one. So.
Yeah, it's not as long as 7, but it's pretty long. And there's some optional stuff.
11 is long.
It's not as long as 11 that I recall, but
11
definitely
was
grinding.
Like 120-hour game for sure.
Yeah, definitely grinding in old Dragon Quest games. So part of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Well, always feels good when a Dragon Quest game is out. Still waiting for 12 though. Good Lord.
Or 10
Show
offline.
us something.
10
or
offline.
10 offline. Yeah, come on, Square. What's going on, dude? It's ridiculous.
Or like 5 or 8 or for Christ's sake, man! Like
get it off 3DS.
Dragon Age games or Dragon Quest games.
Just port them at least or something. I don't know. Port 7 and 8, the 3DS versions on there, and the DS versions of 4, 5, and 6. I haven't played those either, so make that happen. Those are expensive DS games too. So they're all expensive DS games.
I'm tempted to just buy 5 at a marked up price like I did with this thing too. Just like buy it for like $200, just save up money,
Save your cash, yeah. That reminds me of another series, Pokemon. So we're going to talk about some quick Pokemon series updates. As you know, the Juggernaut continues once again. I saw this recently and I was
you're
surprised.
On your own series journey. Like
I'm playing Emerald right now, I guess. I'm very early in the game, though.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Emerald in the future when I get further in it, but so far, so good. Got a sales update about Pokemon. Famitsu, the Japanese magazine, has reported that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet combined has become the best-selling Pokemon game ever in Japan, with 8.3 million copies sold combined. Crazy in Japan.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. A game that runs like trash and looks ugly is the best-selling Pokemon game. That is just the power of that IP, man. It is just so damn strong. It's crazy, man. Cool ideas in that game. I respect it. Just gotta tweak the tech next time, please.
Just let it run better. It's really great game, actually. It's another Age of Calamity situation. A great game, just hampered by the console or developers, honestly, too. Because there's no reason why Pokemon should look that ugly. And
there's no excuse for that game.
Looks like amazing, like
there's no excuse for that game when it's like the biggest IP on the planet as well. It's just like, come on, guys. And I get the whole argument. People are like, oh, well, they don't have to because it's going to sell anyways. Have some integrity, right? Have some self-respect. Make your game better, okay? Sort that shit out. But Scarlet and Violet. I was kind of surprised when I saw that. The Switch is so popular, especially in Japan, I kind of thought it was going to be a DS game maybe that sold the most or something like that, because the DS was also a juggernaut in Japan at the time. But hearing those two, I was like, okay. All right, man.
Switch, baby.
That's the Switch, yeah. Also, a shiny Rayquaza is coming to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So that is like the legendary Pokemon that's I think it was introduced in Emerald. He's like this really weird snake looking kind of thing. He's cool. But he's a very popular Pokemon. This is via Nintendo Life where I got this. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is celebrating its 2-year anniversary with a bumper list of in-game events, all which culminate in the arrival of Shiny Rayquaza, which you'll be able to get for a limited time via Terra raid battles. The black-colored Rayquaza will be available in Scarlet and Violet from the 20th of December 2024 to the 5th of January 2025. You'll have to take it down and capture it in 5-star Terra raid battle. That's not before a whole slew of events taking place in Paldea, Kitakami, and Blueberry Academy, however. Between the 29th of November and the 19th of December, 3 sets of Terra raid battle events will be taking place. The first will feature Corviknight and the Billy Bot. Dude, when I read these Pokemon games I've never heard of, I'm like, what is going on here?
This is sick. This is out of fucking control. This is out of control.
It is out of control how many Pokemon there are, and like what there's like a Chandelier Pokemon, Chandelure or whatever. It's insane, Micah. The second, Azumarill and Coldsire. I will know these Pokemon one day, but right now I don't know any of them until December 12th. The third, Annie, what the hell is this? Annie Hillup. Annie Hillup. God damn these Pokemon. And King Gambit. Jesus. Okay, 3 mass outbreaks will also be popping up across all 3 regions, Scarlet and Violet, during those same dates. Outbreaks of Tinkatink and the Ferocious Mark will pop up in Paldea until the 5th of December, followed by Wooper outbreaks. I know that guy from Gold. In Kitakami, with the Absent-Minded Mark until the 12th of December. Then at the Blueberry Academy, during outbreaks with Intellectual Mark will happen until December 19th. So there's a whole lot of events happening in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If you were interested, I know a lot of people are into these games, so keep an eye out for a lot of that stuff. And I know a lot of people love Rayquaza, so that's kind of hype for all of them, especially because it's a shiny version of it. People love those shinies. You guys know what shinies are of Pokemon?
Mm-hmm.
They're just rare colors, I think.
Rare colors with different moves, and they're shiny.
Yeah, and people go crazy for these things. They spend hours and hours and hours, like they spend like 30 hours trying to catch these Pokemon. People will do for it. I do not give a shit about doing any of that. But people love those shinies, so Pokemon Company somehow continues to make people go crazy for Pokemon. I don't know. It's insane.
Sense to me. If I would rather have the original color, anyways, for the design. You know.
Yeah, most of the time I would as well. Some of them, like the black Rayquaza, is cool though, because he's usually like a green color. But I'm not spending the time to get these things. So
no, I'm not.
Whatever.
That's the thing. I love the recent Pokemon games, but I don't catch them all.
I don't catch them all either. I did Red and Blue when I was a kid. That was enough. I'm fine.
Yeah.
There's honestly,
I don't think I've ever caught them all other than Red and Blue when I was a kid. Yeah.
Well, and it's just like, honestly, you look at some of these and it's like, if I saw that Pokemon like Alcremie, if I saw that one, I'm throwing it back. I don't want that one. Okay, like, no, you're not coming with us. You cannot battle with us. We don't want you here.
Right, that's the thing. Some of these monsters are so ugly. I'm just like, I don't want you in my team. I don't want to collect you. I don't want you around me. You know.
I'll put that Pokeball, throw it down a well or something. I don't want that one.
Oh my God, that's so horrible. But
aren't they happy in there? Right? They have like that. Is it my understanding that the Pokeball, they're happy in there? Right? So he wouldn't know.
I have no idea.
Down a well so nobody else could find him.
I have no idea. Pokemon has weird ass lore sometimes.
Well, yeah, we got into that.
Well, yeah. We sure did. Good Lord. Yeah. That Pokemon was banned from my stream, by the way. I did not allow him ever. All right, but yeah, Pokemon continuing to be a juggernaut as always. We also got a new trailer of what's it called? Ratatan. It's from the creators of Patapon, an old rhythm game that was on the PSP, and I think they actually ported it to the PS4 later on down the line. We got a trailer of this game, and it looks very much like a Patapon game. And Gene, I was really curious what you think about this game, and also with Patapon in general. Do you have any history with these games?
I'm not a huge Patapon player, but I play a little bit. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's good. I think I do own the PS4 version, so I think I think I should play that too, because I played a little bit of that Astrobot kind of. I think I bought it after Astrobot, and I was like, oh yeah, I should just buy all these PlayStation games on my PS5.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
But
I'll play it on my PS5 Pro.
Yeah, the PS5 Pro. That's right.
My PS5 Pro right now. Yeah.
It looks
the thing that Colin hasn't even opened yet.
He hasn't opened his yet.
Opened the PS5 Pro yet?
No, he did. He did open it a couple days ago. It did sit like in the box for a few days. It was like the opposite of a kid on Christmas. Because we missed the UPS man, right? And so I had to go to our local CVS to go get the package. That's like the drop off spot. And I was like, oh, I'll go get it today. And he was like, you don't have to do that. But I was like, well, I'll just go get it simply because I'm available and I just want this done. And I bring the thing home and he's like, oh, excellent. Thank you. And she sat on the floor like 3-4 days, maybe, like just the opposite of how, we would have been as like kids of like, you got to open it right now. We're going to get it all set up. It was like, yeah, I'll get to it.
Are we like the worst console network podcast?
I opened mine immediately.
I was complaining like, come on guys, you're the number one PlayStation podcast in the world and you guys you haven't even opened your PS5 Pro.
I mean, there's a little disappointment, of course, because we couldn't get like the 30th anniversary one. But I will say this thing looks much better on our entertainment center. Like the PS5, what the hell is that thing? It's huge. It's ugly. It's just not great. I got used to it.
Console.
You get used to seeing it every day, but replacing it with the Pro and seeing it in just this much more slimmed down version, I'm like, this thing, no, because it's too tall. Like it fits under our TV, but like it's like right there, so it just looks weird. But it honestly, it's like it looks so much better in this form factor. It's still an ugly console, but I'm like, dude. Now I'm seeing just even more how ugly the old one is, because this one actually is a nice upgrade in how sleek it is. But whoo, doggies, no, we weren't too hyped about it, I guess.
Quickly about this Ratatan game. So people don't know, it's like a side-scrolling rhythm game where you got these like little minions that are with you. They almost look like Pikmin, or like Pikmin vibes kind of running around, but you do rhythm stuff and they beat up a bunch of enemies. It's really cute, fun music and stuff like that. This game also has, I believe, roguelite elements. You see at a point in this trailer, there's cards for your little minion guys that give you like little benefits and stuff like that. Increase the number of barriers gained and stuff like that. So I'm interested in like little roguelite element to pat upon. That sounds kind of interesting. So I will keep an eye out on this game whenever it comes out. Could be a ways off, but still cool little game. Looking forward to it. All right, guys, let's end the show with some questions from the audience. If you want to send a question into this show or submission, write in, whatever, I post a thread every other Sunday calling for your submission. So keep an eye out for that if you would like to send in stuff for the show. This is from Neo JD. Sup, fisties. Wait, hold on a second. Blah, 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 blah. Let me rewind this. You know, actually, we can just kind of carry this into the next topic. This is actually going to be an Xbox topic first, because this will lead into it. Neo JD said, "Sup, fisties." Phil Spencer confirmed that Xbox isn't putting a limit on what games it ports everywhere, and also confirmed that they're working on a handheld. But this Xbox handheld is still years away. So my question is, if Switch 2 is indeed more powerful than a PS4, could the Switch 2 have the most impressive and diverse lineup of all time? Imagine this: PS5 or PS ports on old PS4 games to it. So yes, that could be interesting. But first, we're going to talk about this thing that Phil Spencer, we're going to rewind the clock real quick. In an interview with Bloomberg, the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer said he was pleased with the results of putting Xbox games on other platforms like Switch and PlayStation. This is a quote: "I do not see any sort of red lines in our portfolio that say thou must not," in reference to porting games. He also said it's too early to make any sort of discussion on the next version of Halo or decision, I mean. So, Xbox, over this year particularly, has started releasing their games on other platforms. like PlayStation and Switch. Like Switch got Pentiment. I'm not sure if Grounded is on Switch. I can't recall. But
I don't. Yeah, that game weirded me out so bad. I was like, get this trailer off my screen. It's the bugs. It's the bugs. I'm sorry. I can't handle the bugs. I was like, get the fuck out.
I don't think that's weird. I think that's totally fair. Yeah, it's on Switch as well. Okay, so that's like a survival game, crafting survival game, where you're shrunken children, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, essentially. And Pentiment, of course, which you played, didn't you, Micah? You played it?
Yeah,
and you
loved
really
it.
liked
We
it?
did a spoiler cast with Cog and Colin. Go check that out. It was a Sacred Plus episode. Really, it's a fantastic game. And it's a game that really feels like it belongs on handheld. It's just a perfect place to experience that.
I just got on the Switch. I'm very
Oh,
excited.
nice. Cool.
One of the developers told me what the game was actually about. It's about history, not just like history, but like what we learn from history. And I was like, yo, if that's what the game is about, I've been sleeping on this game for way too long. I should just buy it. And I feel like the Switch would be a perfect place to play it.
Yeah,
Switch
it is.
I like playing games on Switch. So,
but yeah, so those games did well on other platforms. Xbox and Microsoft are very happy with that. So they're going to continue that trend of porting stuff to consoles. Of course, we know Call of Duty is eventually going to come to Nintendo. The whole fiasco with FTC and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I totally.
So there's like a 10-year thing, I believe, or something like that. But Call of Duty eventually will be on Nintendo platforms. So we're going to start getting more Xbox stuff on Nintendo stuff, especially whatever Switch 2 is going to be in whatever. I assume Call of Duty will be on that immediately. So we're going to start getting that kind of stuff. What do you guys think will be good for the Switch to have, or Nintendo's next handheld from Xbox? What can you see coming over? Do you think it should be everything, or there's small, or like select cases, I should say?
The Bethesda Fallout
RPGs
would be great. I mean, Skyrim was a launch game for the Switch. Remember?
Yes, I'm sure it'll be on Switch 2 as well. Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Skyrim, just Skyrim itself.
Just Skyrim, yeah.
It'll be on Switch 2 for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I feel like the Bethesda RPGs, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, if they ever,
that'd be cool.
If they ever remake or re-release that or remaster that. I don't know. Doom's already on Switch.
Yeah, so that's true.
It's like,
what about like Indiana Jones or something?
And Indiana Jones would be great, actually. Indiana Jones would be a good market fit because it's so like PG, and like you wouldn't want that on the more family friendly system.
Micah, are we going to get Viva Pinata back on Switch?
It's all I can think of, honestly. Hearing Phil Spencer say this is, if you truly want to branch out and expand that the Xbox audience is across all consoles, this is an opportunity to revive a family-friendly series like Viva Pinata and just utilize that as a Switch release, even exclusively. Like, it would be interesting to see if they were like, we're not even gonna, put it on Xbox or throw it on Game Pass, whatever. But the reality is that that the Xbox audience is probably not gonna care about this game, but on Switch, the potential for this game on Switch, like whether it's porting the old games or whether it's actually just a whole new entry in the series, like Viva Pinata has so much potential. This is one of those, if I could talk to Phil Spencer for 5 minutes, first I'd be like, it's an honor to meet you, sir. I'm a big fan. And then I'd be like, if you don't do something with Viva Pinata, I'm gonna kill you. And then I'm gonna be like, ha ha ha, I'm kidding. I'm just gonna be really angry at you. And if I had 5 minutes, before I got arrested, before I was taken out of the building, I would really just try and hammer that home with him, like, you have to do this or else. So I think it could be a great success. And that's all I can think of, because it's so good. It's so good. And it belongs, in the hands of people who will appreciate it. And I just want to play it again so bad.
Yes, I agree with that. Now, let me sell you some copium real quick from me. Okay? You know what I've been asking for from Xbox. People have listened. I've been asking for Banjo-Kazooie to come back forever. Not nuts and bolts. None of that trash. Actual Banjo-Kazooie, all right? So they own the IP. if you're going to be on Nintendo now, Banjo-Kazooie Star Nintendo, you got a fan base there. That fan base will play Banjo-Kazooie and be looking forward to it. And I don't want to hear anything about...
I have doubts on all of this.
I know. That's why I said Copium right at the start, Gene.
It's Copium, yeah.
Astrobot sold very well. Did well. Platformers can still do well outside of Mario. You just got to make them good, actually. So, Microsoft, this is your time to get that family-friendly market. You have this IP that people love. People went nuts for Banjo and Smash. People got history with Banjo.
I feel like Microsoft is just good with Minecraft. They're like, oh, we got the family-friendly Minecraft.
I know, Gene.
And that's it.
But come on. Maybe they could do something cool like that every now and then. For God's sakes, you have all these awesome IP. Do something with it.
That's the worst thing about Microsoft, that they're just hoarding all this IP now. And
yeah, they have the Evil Within. I'm never going to get Evil Within 3, so I'm depressed about that.
It's very depressing. It's very depressing. It sucks. I feel bad that I got Phil hyping me about Hexen and all that crap. And it's like, I was the guy who he told about Hexen, and I was like, oh, yo, like you're really going that far? That's crazy. And then it's just like, no.
He's like, nah, we're good. It's just like, okay,
Call of Duty, Minecraft,
Call of Duty, yeah. But I'm saying, man, you putting your games on Switch, Banjo-Kazooie is not a bad one to put there, okay? Has potential.
Yeah, you see that news about Sony possibly buying the From Software.
Kodokawa? Yeah, I did see that. It was interesting.
That sucks, man. So this is a Nintendo podcast. So I'll talk trash about Sony and Microsoft. But it's like, dude, make your own fucking games, for fuck's sake, dude. What the fuck are you doing? You guys are video game companies. What are you doing just buying games? You're the ones who are supposed to buy the games.
They bought Firewalk and they got Concord. So that didn't work out so hot. So maybe don't make all your games or something like that. Just be smart, actually. If you're going to buy something, at least buy something good, like From Software, I guess. From Software's good. But I'm just worried that From Software would change. That's the thing that worries me.
Exactly. Yeah, just a bunch of California people working there. Yeah, Elden Ring's got to be like, it's got to talk about our inner desires or whatever like that. And it's like, oh my god, dude, fucking get California out of Sony.
How can we make it relate to the modern political landscape? It's like, shut the fuck up. Just make cool dragons and stuff like that. All right. Jeez.
Can you just make another big guy with swords so we can roll around him and fight them?
Yeah, let me fat roll and stuff like that, okay, dude?
No, it's not enough. All right, that little pot, that cool little pot guy that runs around, he's bisexual. All right, we gotta throw that in.
Sexualized or even cuter, just make him like a Disney Pixar baby, It's like,
yeah, we have to know more. We must dive deeper into these characters. He can't just be a little pot that rolls around. We must know.
Explain everything about their backstory. They'll get their own game.
They do explain their backstory in the DLC.
Well, they do.
You remember? We're like, oh, I wish I didn't know that.
It's actually one of the worst backstories of all time. It's horrifying. Like in terms of like what happens in there. Not even like how bad it is, but it's God. Like, whoa, this is that's not what I expected.
Oh boy. All right.
But yeah, make your own game, Sony and Microsoft. Come on.
Yeah.
Nintendo bought Monolith Soft and just left them alone. That's pretty much it,
Yeah, well, they left Bungie alone as well, but that turned out not so hot.
Yeah, you're just buying the worst companies, Firewalk and Bungie, and Firewalk is just made up of form. Like, what's going on with Bungie? Like, is that just like a racket or something?
I don't know, man.
Just like
something.
Like Bungie is just like some money laundering scheme to siphon away money from the games industry in all ways possible.
Everyone's
let's just make another company and just make it Bungie again,
Yeah. Just make a Bungie again. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I don't know.
We'll just have Sony buy us for $200 million.
They probably want Kodokawa for a lot of their anime stuff as well, because they own Crunchyroll. So they're trying to dominate the anime industry, it looks like. So
yeah. I mean, it's funny that Hiroki Totoki a couple of weeks ago or a couple months ago was like, oh yeah, Sony, we don't have any IP that we raised from the ground up. So I guess we'll just fucking buy all of them then.
It's like, but you do have some. But they just take so damn long to make. That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
this is from Josh. This is from Josh Harris. Howdy punches in the turd bowl. If you could have one Nintendo franchise, ignore cost or
This is why I started saying the F word, because it's like, at this stage, if you're still listening, it's your fault.
Yeah, the audience made us this way, okay?
Yeah.
So if you can have one Nintendo franchise, ignore cost or feasibility, sold to a different studio, which franchise would you choose and where would you send it? For me, it would be Animal Crossing and Asobi at PlayStation, or it would be Animal Crossing 2 Asobi at PlayStation.
Oh.
I'd love to see a fully realized Animal Crossing game with the physics and systems they're capable of. Keep up the good work, and see you at the inevitable Biggleswade show when you hit the UK. Oh, Biggleswade. All right.
That's a good one. I had to give a shout out to the reader. That
could be interesting. Yeah, that's a pretty good fit. But yeah, Nintendo franchise sold to a different company. What do you want to see? Come on, Micah.
I don't know. I don't really want any of them. I mean, really, because the thing is, I play most of my games on Switch, right? Like, it's like I have no desire to be like, oh, I'm going to go play Animal Crossing on PlayStation made by somebody else. It's just like, honestly, when I think of like some of these great games I've played, it's like, I wouldn't really want to see it be done by anyone else because I like it the way it is. I'm a creature of habit. It's too much. This is too radical of an idea for me to be like, you want me to take Yoshi's Crafted World and have fucking FromSoft make it? No. I mean, that's a horrible example, but that's not what I can't. I abstain from the question.
Me too,
Senator.
I think it's a kind of I share Micah's reluctance in doing this, because like Asobi and Nintendo is a perfect pairing, right? But then what else is there?
Yeah.
I don't want, I don't want Zelda in Naughty Dog's hands, Like,
no, exactly. I can't think of another one where I'm like, this is a perfect fit. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I got some Eugene. Star Fox, give it to the Ace Combat devs.
Oh, yes,
they can make that.
Yeah, we were talking about that, but yes.
Yeah, I would also give Polyphony Digital, the creators of Gran Turismo, I'd give them F-Zero and let them make an F-Zero sim game. I would absolutely. Yeah, that's right, dude. That's right. That's what I'm talking about there. But those are the two that come to mind. And Gene's dead. We have lost Gene.
No.
Hold on.
Lost Gene.
But yeah, so give Polyphony Digital F-Zero. That'd be awesome. Nintendo's not doing much with it right now anyway, so give it to those boys. I want to see those racing sims with that kind of stuff. Think of the license tests they could have for an F-Zero game, man. Whew.
I thought one thing I thought of was like maybe a Pokemon MMO and give it to Blizzard, but that actually sounds like a terrible idea. To give it to Blizzard. I mean, Blizzard knows how to make MMOs, obviously, but
yeah, that's true.
I don't know if Blizzard with the Blizzard culture with Pokemon is a good fit.
Whoa, yeah. Hold on there, do you? Get some breast milk involved going on? Yeah. Pokemon stealing breast milk. Stuff like that.
The company that birthed Grums. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm thinking of like Pokemon is already like nickel and diming you in a lot of ways, and I just could not imagine if there's a Pokemon MMO from Blizzard.
That's exactly true. Yeah, imagine all the ways that they would try to extract like milk money from you in Blizzard.
Oh, dude! I mean, think of this: a little tracer butt on Pikachu, though. Just picture that. I'm just saying, this is what you're asking for.
Yeah,
I'm not asking for a Pikachu tracer butt.
He's all cheeked up.
He's cheeked up. No, they nerf his
like
butt.
Mike
probably.
Tyson.
Blizzard nerfs butts, so they probably Pichu would
I
probably
definitely didn't watch. Did you guys watch that fight?
Yeah, or I saw some of it. I saw the cheeks though. I did see that.
Yeah, everybody. Those were the cheeks seen around the world. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. But yeah, I didn't watch that fucking fight.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit about it. It's so funny. Like, not embarrassed at all. Just like, here's my cheeks. Whatever. Been no big deal. It's like, okay. All right. Okay, so this is from Loom Doom. Hey, Punchers. Of the 4 Zelda games that Micah has completed thus far, A Link Between Worlds, Link's Awakening, A Link to the Past, you have not finished that, and Echoes of Wisdom, which one has your favorite music? I really love the soundtrack for A Link Between Worlds, so that would be my top. Echoes of Wisdom would probably be my least favorite of the four in terms of music. Cheers. What a hilarious question to ask Micah. Yes, Micah, which one had your favorite music that you would listen to?
Oh my God.
They're all good so far.
Yeah.
All of them have been great.
Yeah, great.
Like, I mean, I give each game like 30 minutes, right, to show me the music, and then I start listening to podcasts. So, I kept dipping in with Link's Awakening because he's getting the instruments. That's the whole point, you know. So like, oh, you go and there's the little girl. What was Marin? What was her name? She sings a little song. I would turn the music up for that to hear her little melody, which was cute. So I guess I'll go with Link's Awakening by default because it's the one I listen to the music the most. I mean, Zelda Echoes was fine. You know what I don't like about Zelda music? It gets me too antsy. Like, okay, you pull a switch, let's say, and you have like 10 seconds to get to the other side of the room, and the music like keys up, and I'm like, it makes me so anxious. I can't. Part of it is that it's genius the way the music ties into the gameplay. It also gives me so much agita that I'm like, I can't do this. All right, you're keying everything up. What I need instead is the dulcet tones of the Game Grumps. And then I can listen to that and I'm keeping my cool while I pull the switch and I have to bolt across the room, whatever. So for the purpose of this question, I guess the answer is Link's Awakening Remastered. And they're all good. They're all very good.
I can't wait for you to miss one of the best soundtracks ever in Ocarina of Time because you're going to be listening to the Game Grumps talking about putting their butts out for the Rizzler again or something. So that's going to be sick. It's gonna miss Gerudo Desert or like the Gerudo.
Oh man.
Canyon theme and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Hyrule
the
Field
Desert song is like one of the best songs of all time.
Saria song. Yeah, I'm just gonna miss all this good shit.
I'll listen to some of it.
Listen to Ocarina of Time's music, please, Micah. Like it's
like for the whole game.
Yeah,
you need to listen to
every single track in that game is classic. Actually,
but what am I supposed to be doing? Like, so I'm just staring at a screen and playing a game.
You're enjoying the video
Where's the
game.
Secondary activity.
You zoomer brain.
Or like, where do I get to listen to my football podcast? It's not just Game Grumps. I have a football podcast, the Barbecue Podcast. I'm weeks behind. All right. Podcast. Oh, dude, How to Barbecue Right. Malcolm Reed and his wife, Miss Southern Shell. It's fantastic. All right. It's a really great podcast for anyone who's into grilling, barbecue, competition style, eating barbecue, like whatever. They answer questions from the listeners every week. It's a fantastic podcast. Okay. There's a whole library of them to get through. And I'm like 3 weeks behind. All right. When am I supposed to listen to all this stuff, you know?
When you're not playing a game with a legendary soundtrack, maybe.
I mean, legendary. Did Barry Manilow write it? That'd be legendary.
No,
Koji Kondo wrote it.
Koji Kondo wrote it.
Yeah.
Marie Kondo. Wow, I know her. She's like, this sparks joy.
All right,
I know that woman.
I will just know forever now. Or just listeners, remember this: anytime you hear really good game music or something like that, just know Micah will never hear it because she's going to be listening to the Game Grumps scream about poop or something. I don't know what they talk about.
No, their new thing is like, it fucking kills me. Their new thing is they'll be like, this looks like rat dick. And like,
Jesus.
It kills me.
Good
like
Lord.
Every time. And I started saying it around the house. Colin hates it.
Yeah, I hate it. Cease that nonsense.
What's fun is that I actually do listen to a lot of podcasts now while I'm gaming, but it's always for games that like are new. Like I'm not playing Dragon Age Veilguard but I do listen to a lot of Sacred Symbols.
Oh God, dude. I get it for some games every now and then. It makes total sense. Especially depending on what you're doing. But come on, man. Not for the GOAT Ocarina of Time. Come on.
The exception really is Call of Duty because I need to focus. Like, that's the exception. That's the example of a game I
where you
don't...
should be listening to podcasts.
But I need to hear the footsteps. You got to hear the footsteps behind you. You know, like, you got to hear grenades going off. Call of Duty would be kind of the exception because I got to be in the zone for that. Brad's so upset he died.
Me and Gene are just dead. Just end the suffering.
But, so I want people to know that there are exceptions.
There, right, by the way.
Me and Jeff, me and Gene in coffins, we're dead.
Micah just media maxing, and we're just like, oh my god.
like I wouldn't do this for Persona 5, okay? Like I wouldn't do that. They talk too much. You'd be constantly pausing. But yeah, something like Call of Duty doesn't work. Persona doesn't work. Like I'm not so far gone that there's no exception. I don't believe you.
I think next time you play a huge RPG like that, you're just gonna be like, well, I can just read it. I don't got to hear what they're saying. I know this is going to happen, Micah. It's a downward spiral with you.
Oh, this is just the beginning. I would pause my podcasts for like Xenoblade cutscenes because they were so long. I would pause for that. So like I listened to those. I let the little British people read them. You know, I did that.
Okay.
The music I don't know about. I don't know about the Xenoblade music. I respectfully declined it.
Oh my god! We got robbed for best music for Game Awards 2022.
It's like somebody had told me, they were like, "Oh man, there's this one battle and the music like crescendos," and it's like, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it was really well done.
My god, I'm disgusted. Every week I get disgusted by Micah about something.
Do you not listen to music though, Micah? Maybe that's the thing.
Oh, I love music. No, I listen to music a lot. Yeah, I love music.
There's no rhyme or reason, Gene. Don't even try. Yeah. Don't even bother.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me this. Was it wrong that I was listening to Eminem's, Encore album while playing Link Between Worlds? Is that so wrong?
Yes.
What's so wrong about
that? What is that? It's like
it worked pretty well. I'm fighting enemies right to that. It was pretty good. I give that a 10 out of 10.
It's like canned bread and a hot dog.
That's a perfect combination. So you're really backing up my point here. You know what I'm going to do? Ocarina of Time. I think Eminem's Recovery will be the soundtrack to that. I think that's what we're going to do.
No, stop. Too much. Cease this. I can't handle this. X-Star wrote in. X-Star 25.
Let's move on, yeah.
Hey, Doritos. Nintendo is poised to launch their next handheld in a very different environment than the Switch did in 2017. Do you think they'll be able to compare with the numerous high-powered handhelds on the market today? Furthermore, how do you think they can entice the hundreds of millions of existing Switch owners to make the jump to the new console? Gene, let's start with you.
I don't think even though the market is a little bit more crowded, the Steam Deck has not threatened the Switch's space at all. In fact, we don't have any Steam Deck sales numbers. Valve hasn't released that. All they'll say is that it's pretty good, and they're happy with it. Which means it's not that great, honestly. Like I love the Steam Deck. It's my favorite like console device. I even like it more than the Switch now at this point, right? But I don't think it's threatened the market at all. So I don't think Nintendo's really... I
don't think so either. Nintendo's been dominant in the handheld space, since whenever the Game Boy came out.
Yeah. And how 80s. Are they gonna bring people over to Switch too? I don't know. It's Nintendo fans.
Mario? Yeah. They'll put a new Mario game on there or something.
Make a new Mario game.
Like they've been doing the entire time.
Yeah. So make a new Mario Zelda game. That's it.
Yeah. That's all you gotta do.
It's worked for the last 30 years. And it's only gotten better for them. The Switch launched with Zelda and it was a runaway success. So all they need to do is just make more games like it and don't release it on PC day one, wherever. Yeah. And then that's it, That's the thing about the console market. It's like, like PlayStation and Xbox are just Nintendo developers now too. But Nintendo is not developing for them. That's for sure. Yeah, you tell me who won the console war.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. In terms of high power thing, Nintendo's been underpowered for a long time, competing with other people. And outside of the Wii U, they've been doing all right. So I don't think much will change right now. There's more options, of course, now, but I still think it's that software that you cannot get anywhere else, for better or for worse. And worse in many ways. I wish I could get some of their games on other stuff.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Well, and that's the value that someone like Micah brings, because she's not
Yeah.
pixel pushing and watching and thinking about frame rate performance unless it's like horribly bad. But it's like she's not like a digital founding crowd. And
Nope.
guess what? Most people aren't. Digital Foundry is actually pretty niche themselves too. You know, we got to forget that they get 1 million views per video. Yeah, that's 1 million only. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think Switch has to necessarily worry about that because it's all about the software for these things. And if they have a strong launch lineup, then that's going to be good. Like Wii U, I'm thinking back to the launch, and I don't recall anything very great. It was like the new Super Mario Brothers, I think, was like they had in Nintendo Land, but it's like that's not like really a killer app. If they're going to launch with something like a new Mario game or like a proper 3D Mario game or Metroid along with it, Metroid doesn't sell well, but still, that's like a nice incentive for hardcore audiences.
For sure.
So I don't know. I think it'll be fine. What do you think, Micah, though?
No, I agree, because as someone who is like, I am here playing Switch because I love the games that are on it. I will play some third-party offerings on here as well. But it's like right now going through this Zelda kick. And it's like, yeah, it's not about, I'm the most powerful way to play it. It's not about the most powerful console. It's these titles that are only here. And it's the only way to play it. And it works. I still love the Switch for its form factor and everything. In terms of getting people to jump to the Switch 2, for example, I think a lot of us just are ready for an upgrade anyways. It's one of those things of even if they kept releasing games for the Switch, there's so many of us that just fully admit that, yeah, if it'll run better on the next one, of course I'll buy it. And it is time. The Switch isn't 3 years old, and people will say, well, I don't know if this thing needs an upgrade yet. Like, no, if you've been here since day one, you know it needs an upgrade. There's plenty of us who have been here since day one and know this thing needs an upgrade. I really am not too worried about that. And if it's going to be another long console life cycle, then even the people who bought a Switch for the first time last year, let's say, like my sister buying a Switch Lite, eventually she will jump ship to the next one when she either like runs out of games to play, if they stop doing simultaneous releases, for example, or when she finally just says, oh, Switch Lite 2, that looks pretty nice, I will upgrade. So, but the immediate like install base for the new console, it's going to be huge. There's so many of us who are just like clamoring for this new upgrade. We're desperate for it.
We're desperate. So yeah, Nintendo will be probably just fine. They seem to have a winning formula with the hybrid going on right now. So I don't see it stopping anytime soon. All right, guys, that's it. We're done. Another episode of Punching Up in the books. Lovely talking to both of you once again. Love talking to you guys about Nintendo and all gaming related stuff. Even if Micah drives me insane with her takes every now and then. Gene, thank you for chatting with me. Hope you have a nice rest of your week. Micah as well. Hope you guys have a good one. Before we go, though, anything you guys want to say, get off your chest, or should we just get out of here?
No, other than, keep an eye out for my metaphor review / interview / mega piece analysis piece. It is very long. I think it's longer than my Silent Hill 2 review, which is really long too.
Wow.
So Hashino-san and I talk about a bunch of stuff, and I'm really, really happy with the piece. So check it out hopefully this week. So
yeah, great. Micah, anything?
I'm sorry for the psychic damage I inflict
every week.
on people at times. But today I'm going to go play some Dragon Quest 3. I'm going to listen to some podcasts. I'm going to have a great time.
Dragon Quest is a good game for podcasts.
Thank you, Gene.
Yes.
Thank you for your approval.
You're correct in this part for sure. Obviously, the music in Dragon Quest is very, very beautiful, but you've already heard it.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's lovely. I gave it 1 hour. And then I switched, and I was like, "Now it's time for YouTube."
The Dragon Quest music can get pretty repetitive, so that's okay. So.
Sure, yeah. Okay. Okay, everybody. We'll see you next episode.
It was a good moment here, a good family moment.
Yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you next episode.
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, thank you, Dragon Quest. We love you. We'll see you guys next episode. Take care, everybody. Goodbye. Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is a product of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and hosted by me, Bradley Ellis. My co-hosts are Gene Park and Micah Moriarty. The show is edited and produced by Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Punching Up, along with the rest of Last Stand Media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your kind contributions and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.